Chapter 320, Heaven-Devouring Thunder Phoenix. Chapter 320, Heaven-Devouring Thunder Phoenix. Elite Coda. Roar. The dragon roar's might buckled the world itself, followed shortly by the dragon soul ascending to the ninth heaven, then plunging back into the earth below. The ground quaked and beast roars resounded. The terrible power came from the souls and worked its way up into the body of everyone, scaring them in body and mind. Then a beast's head came out of the ground and swallowed them whole. Zhuo Fan frowned. The nine dragons' diamond body was an earth-ranked martial art at its base, and the dragon vein soul was a lord of the land as well. With them combined, the martial art had its power doubled, truly capable of ripping the world asunder. Zhuo Fan took a deep breath and the roaming purple lightning around him focused, ready for the final strike rumble. The earth literally exploded as the golden dragon 300 meters long shot from underground, aiming for Zhuo Fan. Its fangs and claws bared, setting itself up to tear into heavens themselves if it had to roar. With another dragon roar, the dragon's might descended, reaching Zhuo Fan 1,000 meters away. The man was shocked. He had a guess it would be strong, but not this much. The dragon held enough power to write off any radiant stage expert on the spot. Jiu Santong and divine dragons not included. The onlookers gasped, their very core shaking in fear. How can a pre-radiant stage expert hold enough power to destroy everything? Yu Yushan's trio were doing a victory dance as they laughed. Such power! I knew the eldest young master was heaven's greatest gift on earth. He is invincible beneath heaven. That punk can be all heaven-defying he wants, but not even he can match up to the eldest young master. Here, the punk is done for, ha ha ha. The trio were having the time of their lives with their early celebration. They had invested so much blood and sweat into this, lost so many men, and now, it had finally paid off. Only Chu Qingcheng and company were shaking at the mighty display. Worry gnawed at their conscience as tears fell down unabated. Fang Qiubai's eyes shrank and he sighed. The dragon vein soul is a true match for an earth-ranked martial art. Such power makes the outcome obvious. Huangpu Qingtian truly is the first in his generation. The rest nodded as well. They turned in the direction the golden dragon was charging to see a man wrapped in purple lightning standing there with his back straight, his gaze hard. He was dauntless in the face of danger, earning no few sighs. Zhuo Fan would have beaten Huangpu Qingtian if they were going by talent alone. But the sudden reveal of Dragon Vein Soul, of Providence's machinations, left all taking his demise with pity. No mortal could defy heaven's will. The people were already lamenting, writing Zhuo Fan off as he was receiving the capital punishment for his transgression. Yet Zhuo Fan's eyes never lost their light, his fighting spirit burned hot against adversity. To him, the Dragon Vein Soul was a mere spirit born of this world, albeit a pretty strong one. Yet it had no damn relation with Providence and the likes. Even if true Providence descended, as long as I am the stronger one, let heaven make you a god in this world, but it still won't save you from me. Zhuo Fan's eyes steeled and his hands made a sign. Ha ha ha, Zhuo Fan, heaven made me king, the new world order. You dare go against me and you shall die for defying heaven. You shall die just because I wish it. It is the will of heaven, your fate. Huangpu Qingtian cackled, drunk on power and megalomania. This nemesis that had defied him for so long would finally meet his end. Who wouldn't be happy? Zhuo Fan's face was cold, his eyes flashing purple, his hands making the signs as he shouted, "Screw you. I alone decide my fate. The one to die is you." Zhuo Fan then roared wraith style, third move, Necro Dragon's screech. Roar. An earth-shaking dragon roar pierced the clouds and a pulse spread from Zhuo Fan's mouth. Huangpu Qingtian mocked, a trifling profound ranked sound martial art? How can it stand up to my dragon soul and earth-ranked martial art? Humph, I get it, you are on your last leg, the desperate attempt of a hopeless fool. Humph, to deal with the dragon vein soul, a soul-based martial art is all I need. Not to mention, this isn't your average sound martial art. You think you're the only one who can boost a martial art? Zhuo Fan's grin turned sinister. Huangpu Qingtian doubled back and before he could react, the damage was done. Zhuo Fan's roar moved slowly towards the golden dragon, only to explode 100 meters from it. When the sound dissipated, purple lighting surged in its wake, spreading like wildfire and taking the form of a 100-meter-long purple lightning bird. The purple lightning crackled in every direction, its power bearing down on the incoming golden dragon. Huangpu Qingtian cried, "What is that?" "Your doom." Zhuo Fan's face split into a grin as he was reeling, about to collapse. This last move had him spent, but it still couldn't wipe the savage smirk from his lips. While you used your dragon soul to add to your martial art's power, what stops me from infusing my entire purple lightning into the sound wave? Huangpu Qingtian's face twitched. How can purple lightning ever match my dragon soul? Dragon vein soul is a king's symbol that no being in this world dares defy. Your purple lightning is nothing. It isn't even conscious. Dragon vein soul, shred him. Roar. Huangpu Qingtian's words set the golden dragon into a frenzy, charging for Zhuo Fan. Its vicious face set to tear all who opposed it. The earth-ranked martial art topped with dragon vein soul actually had a mind of its own. Following Huangpu Qingtian's order, Zhuo Fan watched it all with a sneer. Purple lightning is beneath the dragon soul? Humph, ignorant fool. Zhuo Fan didn't know where the purple lightning came from, but it had the potential to kill a sacred beast. Not to mention, Zhuo Fan had added a little something to it, a trace of azure flame. It wasn't as overbearing as the purple lightning, but it had a spark of intelligence. Each time Zhuo Fan was in dire straits, the azure flame would come out and shield him from harm. Zhuo Fan had done this so that the Thunderbird would gain the azure flame's awareness. Zhuo Fan pointed, his bloodthirst exploding in his roar. Kill him. Earth-ranked martial art. Heaven-devouring thunder phoenix. Correct, an earth-ranked martial art. With the purple lightning and a bit of azure flame, the profound ranked martial art was forcefully upgraded to a new rank. The Thunderbird cried out at his order. Shooting forth golden light erupted as the dragon roared and purple lightning scalded the heavens in an unbridled display of raw power. The people below saw a dragon and a Thunderbird clash in an apocalyptic explosion, ringing their ears. And then it happened. Under the Thunderbird's purple lightning explosion, the dragon began to crumble, inch by inch, as it dissolved into golden specks. With a cry of pain, the golden dragon soul left the huge dragon and fled for Huangpu Qingtian. The purple Thunderbird had scared the dragon vein soul off. How is this possible? Huangpu Qingtian's jaw hit the floor, his eyes bulged out. Others didn't fare any better. Holy hell! Dragon vein soul, you're supposed to be a lord of the land, its king. What are you doing getting scared of a silly flickering bird? Where has your rampant attitude gone? Your master had even bragged about you being his royal symbol. The scared dragon vein soul's reply to their thoughts would be a round of abuse. You know shit. I am the king of the land, but that thing is the king of the skies. What else am I to do but run? Ignorant whelps. Stop spewing crap when you know nothing of the world's inner workings. I am born of the earth, but that thing is born of the world. We are light years apart. Not that any side knew any of this, of course. It was just that their minds were blown away seeing the dragon vein soul running away with its tail between its legs. Their brains went out of commission. Dragon vein soul ain't so tough after all. Fang Qiubai watched it all bleary-eyed. Then he frowned, then he shook his head, and lastly looked at Zhuo Fan astounded. Dragon vein soul wasn't weak, not by a long shot. It was the kid using a far deadlier attack. Even Fang Qiubai started praising. Just what are you, kid? With the dragon vein soul abandoning ship, the 300-meter-long golden dragon turned into an earth dragon. And an average earth-ranked martial art was no match for the purple Thunderbird, collapsing in seconds. What followed next was obvious. The Thunderbird flew at Huangpu Qingtian. Its eyes filled with killing intent, just like Zhuo Fan's. How could this be? Gnashing his teeth, Huangpu Qingtian was still in denial. The dragon vein soul, the cornerstone of his pride and joy, of his very existence, was scared off by some purple lightning. What is that lightning that is able to scare the king of the land? He didn't have the time to ponder such philosophical questions though. The Thunderbird was coming in for the kill. Chapter 321, At Death's Door. Chapter 321, At Death's Door. Elite Coder. Huangpu Qingtian's eyes showed fear for the first time. The dreadful aura of the Thunderbird posed a definite and tangible threat to his life. This hadn't been brought about before, not even when Zhuo Fan was bashing him around. Because he had a fallback, the dragon vein soul, he was destined to rule, heaven's gift on earth, with no man capable of defeating him. And yet, run. Yu Yushan's trio knew the tables had turned. The Thunderbird was a very real danger to anything in existence. The 6 dragons and 1 phoenix were no exception, ending up as nothing more than bone meal. That prediction had them running frantically for their lives. Funnily enough, Their grand boss was doing the same thing for the first time ever, not that it would do much good at this late an hour. They barely added 100 meters between them when the Thunderbird flapped its crackling wings and was upon Huangpu Qingtian. Huangpu Qingtian was traumatized. Facing this world destroyer and its all-powerful aura, all he could do was shout, "Transformation, Earth Dragon Claw." A flash of golden light shone and his entire right arm was enveloped in light among the dragon roars. It was at this instant that the Thunderbird ran into him. The berserk purple lightning pulverized anything it touched. Boom. The sky itself turned purple from the sheer magnitude of the blast. Purple lightning spread like wildfire, catching the three slowpokes and sending them sprawling. Heavily wounded, the array holding Zhuofan prisoner began to shake for the first time. The 365 profound heaven experts spat blood at the same time. Weakened, everyone was shocked at how the 6 dragons and 1 phoenix, the peak of power in the profound heaven stage, couldn't even take on the afterblast of the Thunderbird. The microcosmic orbit array, said to contain even a radiant stage expert, suffered under the tyrannical purple lightning. Every one of the 365 profound heaven experts controlling it were left with heavy wounds. The power of the Thunderbird was obvious. They all watched the thick dust, eyes widened. Not even Regent Estate could contain the shock they felt. Who could conceive it possible for Zhuofan to employ such power to annihilate everyone? What then of Huangpu Qingtian, who took the full blast? Everyone watched the screen with bated breath. Zhuofan spurted blood and the lightning faded from his body. Focusing all the purple lightning into one blow and forcing a profound ranked martial art to go a rank higher had left him teetering on the edge of collapse. His body was far too weak to handle an earth-ranked martial art, or he'd have already trained in one. But to defeat Huangpu Qingtian, he threw caution to the wind and used every ounce of his strength. This left him on the brink of destruction. Zhuofan was now weaker than your average bone-tempering expert. Even after killing Huangpu Qingtian, he would still be in danger on Beast King Mountain, though he wasn't of a mind to care. As long as Huangpu Qingtian was dead and done, nothing else mattered. Narrowing his eyes, Zhuofan took a deep breath and moved, slowly, towards the cloud of dust. All that purple lightning did a number on his body, with no less than 20 wounds on his body deep enough to show the bone. His staggering walk was that of a demon from hell. Yu Yushan's trio were shaken to their core. They tried to get away, but any movement only aggravated their injuries. They were going nowhere fast. They could only stare at the demon trudging towards them. Damn it. The 300 people outside, release the damn array and come save us. Yu Yushan shouted. Yang Bangui and Lin Xianfeng did the same. Release the array already. The hellish image had them traumatized and horrified to the point of peeing themselves. The viewers watched it all in heavy silence. At the end of it all, the 6 dragons and 1 phoenix were mere men, fearing death and clinging to life. All that metal they had was now gone. All of Tianyu held the 7 houses in reverence, practically worshipped them. But if there was one thing the esoteric debate showed, what Zhuofan's fight showed, was that the grand disciples of these houses were nothing but disgraces. The effect was immediate. The surviving clans had their opinion of the 7 houses sharply diminished. While towards the Luo clan, they held no little amount of respect in this great battle, the Luo clan rose above the masses through their acts. Their steward even more so, fighting adversity without a hint of fear, his tall and imposing figure facing heaven itself. It got everyone's blood pumping. Everyone dreamt to be a hero at some point. Everyone yearned to fight back the authority breathing down on them. But none had the nerve to do it. Yet Zhuofan, a mere third-rate clan steward, did it for them, fulfilling their wish, and brutalizing the 7 houses experts. It had gone beyond mere fighting oppression as he went against Providence itself, against the heaven-made king, Huangpu Qingtian, and his kingly symbol. Dragon vein soul. Not even a destined king was infallible, dead just the same before the third-rate clan's Zhuofan. Everyone turned to the weakened Zhuofan with eyes filled with respect. Even the vassals of other houses had their views changed. Lung Wuchang noticed and clenched his beard, even pulled a hair. But he was too engrossed in his scowl to notice Fang Qiubai sported a big smile. By defeating Huangpu Qingtian, Zhuofan had cut the 7 houses' prestige in one fell swoop. His Majesty would be ecstatic at the news. The Emperor had planned for Zhuofan to cut down the Regent Estate's momentum. But the man had gone leagues beyond his duty. Zhuofan had passed his mission with flying colors. Regent Estate's very reputation was severely affected. It was a great help for when they had to quell the 7 houses. Fang Qiubai smiled and nodded. Having the dragon vein soul doesn't mean a thing. Huangpu Qingtian was still dragged through the mud before everyone. He won't have the gall to be cocky now. I forbid it. Fang Qiubai's bright smile faded. While Leng Wuchang and the rest of the regent estate watched their vassals tense up, as a cold voice came from within the dust cloud rumble. Zhuo Fan couldn't fight the shudder. His face darkened as he looked ahead in stunned silence. Yu Yushan's trio looked as well, with tears of joy welling in their eyes. Eldest young master, lives. This can't be. Fang Qiubai was aghast. He suffered the brunt of all that raw power no radiant stage expert could take. How the hell? The dust scattered and revealed a bloody and panting Huangpu Qingtian with his entire right arm turned into a dragon claw. Like a true monster, it was this claw that ruined Zhuo Fan's mighty blow transformation. Fang Qiubai and Zhuo Fan cried at the same time and color drained from their faces. The act implied changing one's soul and body. Special cultivation methods could turn one into a merciless beast when trained to perfection. And Huangpu Qingtian, who had the dragon vein soul, would ultimately turn into a dragon. Huangpu Qingtian only had a claw, but it was a true dragon claw, an earth dragon's claw. Tough beyond imagination, leaps above even a 6th grade spiritual weapon. How? To reach transformation he had to have trained 9 dragons' diamond body to perfection, but he's still in the 1st level. How did he do it? Fang Qiubai was incredulous. Not even Tianyu's founding emperor could do it. Leng Wuchang sighed, seeing Huangpu Qingtian safe, and smiled at Fang Qiubai. Ha ha ha, it's a simple matter of talent. Fang Qiubai was overwhelmed. Has Huangpu Qingtian's talent reached such a monstrous level that he could transform before training 9 dragons' diamond body to completion? That made him the most dangerous being in existence. When he finished 9 dragons' diamond body, not even Jiyu Santong could face him. It will mark the day when the regent estate will become the ruling family. Leng Wuchang easily gleaned into his thought process, looking at the national elemental stone with a smile. The true winner has finally been decided. Whoosh! Huangpu Qingtian sprung at Zhuo Fan, clawing at him. Zhuo Fan panicked. Try as he might, he was too weak to even dodge, but he was still defiant, gnashing his teeth and gathering the last vestige of power. Wraith-style's second move, ghostly dragon claw. Roar! A dragon roar began but was cut off. Huangpu Qingtian's own claw had a firm grip on the enemy's claw. Not a chance. Zhuo Fan's last act scared him. Huangpu Qingtian no longer looked at Zhuo Fan with the usual haughty attitude, instead he looked at him with fear. Zhuo Fan was the first to ever shake him so much. So for the first time, he went all out. He felt Zhuo Fan was at his weakest moment, on his deathbed, but against Zhuo Fan he would never feel safe until the very last breath left his body. Huangpu Qingtian wailed and ripped Zhuo Fan's right arm clean off. Blood spurted like a fountain and Luo Yunchang cried in fear. Zhuo Fan's eyes bulged out and his features twisted. But he pushed through the pain and pierced at Huangpu Qingtian with his wings, despite how hopeless it was. Chapter 322, Fleeing. Chapter 322, Fleeing. Elite Coda. Clang. A metallic screech was heard as the lightning wings struck the claw Huangpu Qingtian easily used to defend. Panting, Huangpu Qingtian tightened his claw, staring Zhuo Fan in the eye. Zhuo Fan met his gaze, bewildered. Why couldn't the lightning wings pierce it? I told you. You have no chance. Huangpu Qingtian's face twisted with savagery and tore off one of Zhuo Fan's wings. Blood spurted from his back and Zhuo Fan broke out in sweat, falling down. The pain in his back blinded him for a moment, but he gnashed his teeth through the pain. Luo Yunchang cried out, tears falling like a river. The other women turned their heads away. They couldn't bear to watch, yet their eyelids never stopped trembling. Zhuo Fan shook from the pain. He made a fist wanting to get up with his only arm, but Huangpu Qingtian stomped on his other wing. Looking down on him, the savage dragon claw slowly lifted him up. Game over. The punk is done for. Leng Wuchang sighed. Despite the stunned face he pulled, that was too close. I didn't foresee the punk having so much of that strange purple lightning. If not for the eldest young master having that last move, I fear everything would have been in vain. Regent Estate's glory would have hit rock bottom and the vassals would no longer worship us. He saw that the others now looked at the crippled Zhuo Fan with worry and lamentation, as if to say, fighting Regent Estate was fighting heaven. The only outcome was death. Lung Wuchang was pleased. This was exactly what he wanted. Zhuge Changfeng looked on with regret, a pity. With the kid's power, if he just wasn't so hot-blooded and lost his mind, he would have had an even chance at victory. Ha ha ha, Prime Minister, is this how you work? There are no ifs in this world. Failure means annihilation. Lung Wuchang smiled at him. Zhuge Changfeng's eyes glinted. I only mourn the loss of a talent. A pity for him to go down this way. Naturally, he only has himself to blame for this outcome. The Prime Minister is most right. We, the schemers, fear becoming berserk ourselves and digging our own graves. Lung Wuchang and Zhuge Changfeng shared a look, then laughed. On the battlefield, a shadow watched it all from a corner, finding himself at an impasse out of Zhuo Fan and Huangpu Qingtian. He only wanted the strongest. And although they were equally powerful, Zhuo Fan had the greater potential, but now Zhuo Fan had lost and was about to die. Should he go save him? Sigh, everything's so twisted. A headhunter feared not searching the world for thousands of miles yet to come out empty, but being forced to choose one of two prized horses, it's too vexing. But soon, the shadow came to a decision. He wanted the strongest. That hadn't changed. Zhuo Fan had the greatest potential, but defeat spoke by itself. He didn't pity him regardless of how great the kid was. Huff tilde. Zhuo Fan and Huangpu Qingtian were panting, staring at each other in hatred. They both were spent of yuan qi, body riddled with wounds, but it was obvious that Zhuo Fan was far worse. For where Zhuo Fan, your very existence is a threat to me. You must die. Huangpu Qingtian moved a trembling dragon claw and aimed for Zhuo Fan's chest. Squinting, Zhuo Fan's blood bubbled from his right arm and his back, his face ashen, but the fire in his eyes burnt strong. Huangpu Qingtian, you will die for touching Ninga. Oh really? And how are you going to do that from under my heel? Huangpu Qingtian mocked. Huangpu Qingtian's heart seized the next second. He could see Zhuo Fan had no intention of dying, but he looked back like a wild animal ready to tear into him. There's still some fight left in him. Huangpu Qingtian's unease only grew. Even if he dismembered Zhuo Fan, as long as the man's eyes burned, the threat still existed. With a roar, Huangpu Qingtian stabbed his claw at Zhuo Fan's heart. With a cry, Luo Yunchang could no longer bear to watch. Fang Qiubai squinted, overwhelmed by anxiety. Zhuo Fan's death proclaims the regent estate as the winner. It will only make them stronger. Kid, you must live at all cost. Fang Qiubai shouted inside Divine Eye of the Void's second stage, Void Annihilation. As Huangpu Qingtian's claw inched forward, Zhuo Fan's right eye flashed with two golden halos and space warped. Huangpu Qingtian's claw would take Zhuo Fan's heart at this rate, but so too would Void Annihilation punch a hole through the enemy's chest. It truly was a life for a life, but Zhuo Fan still had Blood Infant. As long as Blood Infant was in his blood, even without a heart, he wouldn't die. For him, it was more of a heavy wound in exchange for a life. Even though Huangpu Qingtian was oblivious to these subtleties, he still didn't find it worth it to go down like this. Startled by the warped space, Huangpu Qingtian dodged and his claw stabbed the ground next to Zhuo Fan. They both get to live a while longer, yet Void Annihilation brushed past Huangpu Qingtian's left arm and peeled his flesh. Blood oozed out like water. Huangpu Qingtian had no time to react as Void Annihilation continued on its path and smashed into the array. Boom. Like a hole punched through the sky, the 6th grade array, microcosmic orbit array, shattered. The 365 profound heaven experts acting as the core of the array died on the spot. They spurted up blood, their eyes rolled into their heads and they breathed their last. What just happened? Huangpu Qingtian looked at the wound on his arm, then at the crumbling array, but was left dumbfounded. He had no idea what had occurred. All that he knew was that Zhuo Fan landed a sneak attack on him, but how could a mere sneak attack be so powerful? Zhuo Fan gnashed his teeth in hatred. He's still alive. Since he had failed, Zhuo Fan knew Huangpu Qingtian had to be on guard and a second chance wouldn't come. With his last attempt failing, he was all out of means to catch Huangpu Qingtian unaware. I have no choice but to use my last plan. Humph, Lung Wuchang, I didn't think it was you in the end who managed to outplay me. You may be the unwanted contriver, but not even you could foresee my last resort. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed and he ignored the pain as he moved, ripping his last wing that Huangpu Qingtian had pinned down. Huangpu Qingtian cried inside, he wants to run, and he pierced the dragon claw at Zhuo Fan's throat. Just as Fan vanished through the use of shift with the array gone, Fan had regained his freedom and no one could stop him now. Void Annihilation overcame the flaw of Divine Eye of the Void's first stage by breaking any restrictions. Fan didn't use it all this time because he had no intention of escaping, hell-bent on finishing off Huangpu Qingtian. The array had him trapped, but so too was Huangpu Qingtian. He could have run away anytime anyway, something that Huangpu Qingtian wasn't privy to, and not even Leng Wuchang predicted this. It was unclear at this point who played who. Wush tilde. Zhuo Fan flashed 1,000 meters away and took out Qiaoer from the ring. He had it carry him as it flew away not a moment too soon as Zhuo Fan blacked out. Huangpu Qingtian took a few steps after him and spat blood. He glanced at the flesh gouged from his left arm seeping blood, then at the hellscape around him, littered with broken corpses. They had 10,000 men, paid such a heavy price and still couldn't finish the job. The frustration fueled his raging howl. Fang Qiubai eased his breath. No one expected the kid to break the array. He had them scared. Leng Wuchang was stunned and sighed. The kid is far more treacherous than I gave him credit for. Sir Leng, it seems to me the kid has escaped with his life and your meticulous planning failed. Ha ha ha, Zhuge Changfeng laughed. Leng Wuchang shook his head. He didn't look too pleased, yet his voice was calm. Prime Minister, I thank you for your concern. The kid had exceeded my calculations, but I have taken this outcome into account. With him on his deathbed, he is like a fish in a barrel, waiting to be squashed. Don't get so confident, Sir Leng. The kid is a true miracle worker. Ha ha ha, Zhuge Changfeng mocked. Leng Wuchang fell silent. But his eyes were completely focused on the national elemental stone, waiting for the next plan to come into play. Chapter 323, The Future is Ours. Chapter 323, The Future is Ours. Elite Coda. Core tilde. In the glow of the twilight sun, Coring entered the ears of the people there, as a murder of crows circled the bloodbath. Huangpu Qingtian stared in Zhuo Fan's last direction, panting and frustrated. He had prepared the ambush, put so much effort into it, only to be routed and failing to take Zhuo Fan's life. Such disgrace lowered his royal prestige in the public's eye. What right did he have now to go vie for his father's position after such a gruesome slaughter? Ah! Huangpu Qingtian vented his frustration by wailing. The regret and anger only festered in his core. The crows landing nearby flew away. Startled Yu Yushan's trio was grounded and unable to move. Watching Huangpu Qingtian's irritation, they knew when to keep to themselves, afraid they'd direct his anger on themselves. Eldest young master? A weak voice ventured. Looking over they saw Yang Fu bringing a dozen survivors of vassal clans, fear clearly painted on his face. Snapping his eyes on him, Huangpu Qingtian spat, "Humph, such fortune upon you. So many have died, along with hundreds of profound heaven experts, but you, bone-tempering fools, and Yang Fu, the ants, still breathe." Yang Fu and the others shuddered, but he was the first to fall to his knees, followed by the rest. Their heads lowered, silent as the grave. Eldest young master, forgive us. That monster put fear into us and we escaped before the array was activated. So you lived? Huangpu Qingtian sneered. Yang Fu trembled, nodding stiffly. Huangpu Qingtian only had contempt for them, but Yang Bangui's round of abuse cut him off before he could continue. Yang Fu, you are the stain of Pilking Hall. That monster killed your master, and when you had the chance to ambush him, what did you do? You chose the path of a sniveling coward. Eldest young master, I failed to teach my junior brother proper manners. If you want to punish him, you may go ahead and even kill this disgrace to avoid shaming us further. Yang Bangui barked. Yang Fu gulped, shivering from fear yet hatred growing inside him. It wasn't as much chastising but more for the sake of the audience of Hall Lord Yang Bogong. With everyone running away in fear just now, if Huangpu Qingtian were to think of killing them, who was there to stop him? Even if they were killed out in the open, would Pilking Hall seek Regent Estate for justice? Absolutely not. That in turn would make the world look down on Pilking Hall, and this was where Yang Bangui's words came into play. By mocking Yang Fu, he saved the face of Pilking Hall, letting Huangpu Qingtian vent while also giving Regent Estate a resounding round of ass-kissing, showing his endless devotion towards Regent Estate. In the case Huangpu Qingtian killed Yang Fu then and there, he'd be safe. Since Pilking Hall now authorized Huangpu Qingtian to deal with the main offender regardless of the outcome, Pilking Hall's honor was safeguarded and the two houses would never be closer, all at the low price of throwing Yang Fu to the wolf, and that wasn't even the best part. Yang Bogong would definitely reward him for having saved Pill King Hall's honor. Yang Fu's rage only grew inside him, but he still laid there waiting. Huangpu Qingtian glanced at Yang Bangui, aware of his ploy, then smiled. It's fine. We have lost too many in this battle and we need all the help we can get. We can't just have Yang Fu, a rare alchemist, killed. It will be of great help to us now that he's alive. Eldest young master's mercy knows no bounds. Let me express 1,000 thanks in my junior brother's stead. Yang Bangui put on the good guy act, then berated, Yang Fu, what are you gawking at? Thank the eldest young master for his mercy. It is all thanks to the eldest young master's infinite generosity that I don't have you punished as well. Yang Fu groaned, wishing nothing more than to give the man a few slaps. You threw me away, my own clansman, not even pleading for me, and now you're acting the savior. Even going as far as asking me for thanks. As if Huangpu Qingtian respects you so much that he spared my life. Humph, just you wait. I'll be sure to return the favor, don't you worry. And yet Yang Fu's face was filled with respect and gratitude. Thank you, eldest young master, for your mercy. Thank you, senior brother, for your care. Nodding, the two accepted in glee, putting on the face of chastising naughty children. What are the rest of you standing around for? Look after their injuries. Huangpu Qingtian pointed at Yu Yushan's trio. Yang Fu nodded, taking first a pill for Huangpu Qingtian, then he and the rest went to nurse the other three. Huangpu Qingtian nodded at Yang Fu's meek figure. The kid has good eyes to know who gets the first pill. But then Huangpu Qingtian sighed over the biggest worry, letting Zhuofan escape. It would be hard looking for him in the wide expanse of Beast King Mountain. Huangpu Qingtian scowled and took out a jade slip. It was the last jade slip Leng Wuchang gave him, warning him repeatedly to never open it unless he ran out of options. The state he was in wasn't just out of options. Even with 1,000 ways, he still wouldn't have anything remotely good he could use. With Zhuofan's cunning, the same trick wouldn't work twice, not to mention he had no clue where to even begin the search. Sighing, Huangpu Qingtian paused in hesitation, then ultimately read the jade slip. Just what could Sir Lung have prepared in this late hour? What ingenious trick could we use? Finished reading the jade slip, his eyes shined and he laughed. I see it now. Sir Lung is a true mastermind to take even that into account. Ha ha ha, Zhuofan, no matter how sly you are, you shall never escape my grasp. Hey! A brimming sacred pill? The faint sound behind him caught his undivided attention. Huangpu Qingtian whipped his head to see Yang Fu trembling and facing away from everyone. The excitement got to him as he shouted, Yang Fu, what are you doing? Nothing. Yang Fu stiffly turned around to show a painful smile while hiding his hand behind him. Squinting, Huangpu Qingtian said coldly, what are you holding? Show it to me. Sweating buckets, Yang Fu hesitated for a long time before putting on a smile and presenting a storage ring with both hands. Congratulations, eldest young master. I found the brimming sacred pills, all 4 of them. Where? Huangpu Qingtian's eyes shined as he snatched the rings. Emptying them, he was looking at 4 vials in his palm. The brimming sacred pills. Yang Fu pointed at an arm soaked in blood. I took it from that arm. I thought. Isn't that Zhuofan's arm? Huangpu Qingtian stared Yang Fu down. You found it quite fast and even knew it was his. Were you perhaps watching our fight, waiting for the right moment to steal our things? Eldest young master, I would never even dream of it. Yang Fu fell to his knees in fear. Wouldn't dream of it. Huangpu Qingtian had a sinister smile as he eyed the 4 vials. Then how do you explain the missing seals from all 4 of the vials? Did you plan on switching the pills, is that it? Huangpu Qingtian used discerning field on the spot, only relaxing when he found the genuine goods in the vials. Yang Fu was scared to death and pleaded, eldest young master, please, I only wanted to confirm they were real. As an alchemist I just couldn't help but want to see an 8th grade pill. The hard stare was making him sweat buckets. Huangpu Qingtian spoke, listen here, leave the others' possessions alone for now. The only items you are ever allowed to use are those I give you. You aren't even allowed to look, understand? Why yes, I shall take it to heart, eldest young master. Yang Fu bobbed his head grinning. Huangpu Qingtian gave a pleased nod. Then he turned to the somewhat recovered trio and showed them the pills. See that? I told you. All the pills I lost will one day return to me. Brimming sacred pill. The three perked up. Huangpu Tianyuan was moved. He was worried that the rotten bastard would only go after one, but instead he had obtained all four. With such a fortune, he, the estate lord, would surely get one as well. The smile had yet to reach his eyes as he watched Huangpu Qingtian share the 3 pills with his allies. The three looked at him puzzled. Huangpu Qingtian snickered, "Take it and let's go hunt down Zhuofan together." "What?" The three were stunned. The brimming sacred pill was as rare as it got. Yet Huangpu Qingtian was just going to hand it over. Huangpu Tianyuan went slack-jawed. "Since when is that brat so generous? You should keep them to yourself when it counts the most. If you ever feel like being generous, do that in your own house, not with some brat." Snorting, Huangpu Qingtian could tell what they were thinking and said, "Remember this well. The future of the world is ultimately ours." Chapter 324, Every Trick in the Book. Chapter 324, Every Trick in the Book. The future is ours. Those simple words had their ambition grow unchecked. Yu Yushan's trio looked at Huangpu Qingtian's smile and felt the brimming sacred pill in their hand heavy as Mount Tai. The pill and those words were the perfect sales pitch. He said the same thing to all 6 dragons and 1 phoenix before the wood exit, that they held the future in their grasp. They would soon surpass their own house lords and their glory, and now that they took his offered pill, they agreed to be wholly on Huangpu Qingtian's side. They would follow him blindly from now on, and the house's structure and interests would change as a result. This implied that when they became house lords, they would still align with Huangpu Qingtian and listen to his orders. This single brimming sacred pill represented not just their allegiance but their houses as well, and everything that came along with it, their forces, their wealth, their souls. Huangpu Qingtian's plan of roping in the 3 future house lords was far more ingenious than how Huangpu Tianyuan earned the current house lord's favor. As long as the 3 held him in the highest regard, so too would the future 3 houses. Whether or not the 3 current house lords would object by writing them off as inheritors, Huangpu Qingtian wasn't the least bit worried. Once these 3 became his men, they would have Regent Estate behind them. And Regent Estate would do all in its power to get them the house lord position. If those geezer were tired of living, they were most welcome to refuse. Yu Yushan's trio looked at each other in sorrow, feeling the weight of the pill growing by the second. They were over the moon having gotten the brimming sacred pill, albeit at the price of betraying their own house. But if they refused, how would Huangpu Qingtian react? The 3 were pulled from 2 directions but soon came to a decision and bowed. "We thank the eldest young master for his generosity." Today's decision had sealed the fate and future of their houses in one direction, as vassals. But refusing it would most likely end with them buried on this mountain. Tallying up both choices' ups and downs, the 3 favored satisfying their own interests. So what if they defected their clans in front of everyone? As long as the Regent Estate had their backs, their own house lords and elders wouldn't even touch them. Not to mention their house lord position was guaranteed. It was just about being Huangpu Qingtian's loyal dog. How bad could it be? Then again, they'd be below 1 man, but lords over the masses. At that time, a mere hint of accusing them for this decision would earn the offender a quick trip 6 feet under. That worked to calm their worries and they showed pure respect. Huangpu Qingtian nodded and laughed. "Ha ha ha." Twitching, Huangpu Tianyuan watched the wise and powerful son of his, while cackling with a mask of rage. Looking at the 3 house lords, he saw the glum hanging heavy on their faces. Huangpu Qingtian not only carried out the Regent Estate's plan to unify the houses, but spurred the juniors to fight for their elders' power. Even a blind man could see Huangpu Qingtian was strengthening his position for when the time came to take his father's place. Be that as it may, Regent Estate's plan to unite the houses without conflict was of far greater benefit. Regent Estate's elders were totally for it. Evident by their prideful looks, Regent Estate's house lord status was reserved for the most capable. The father and son could fight all they wanted, as long as the future lord worked for the better of Regent Estate. And watching Huangpu Qingtian employ hidden schemes and tricks along with the power invested in him, just like a true emperor, the elders loved him even more. Who would blame him now for calling them geezers? As long as you can make the Regent Estate thrive for thousands of years, you can even call us a bag of bones. Huangpu Tianyuan eyed the prideful elders behind him and sighed dejected. If this keeps up, the brat will soon come back with Zhuofan's head and earn great merit. Higher than anyone. And what will become of me then? Squinting, Huangpu Tianyuan could no longer bear the stress and frustration and said, "Sir Leng, How sure are you of your plan to finish Shuofan off? If it were anyone else, I'd guarantee it right away. But with how crafty he is, I can only go as far as 90%. Lung Wuchang spoke lightly. Huangpu Tianyuan's heart froze. Such assurance is insane. The man was now worried for Shuofan's fate and for the first time, resenting Lung Wuchang's sharp mind. Just what plan do you have to be so certain? Is there anyone out there able to survive you, an ant perhaps? Sighing, Huangpu Tianyuan's mood sank into the pits of despair. Lung Wuchang smiled inside. He knew fully well the thoughts this house lord had, but didn't mind them in the least. His genius mind was a rarity in this world. No matter what house lord took office in Regent Estate, it wouldn't change a thing. He would still be their right-hand man or left-hand man, all because of his strength. This was why he did not care what Huangpu Tianyuan thought. Shuofan was the only one on his mind right now. Shuofan was the first ever to have escaped his foolproof plans. He found it impossible to gauge Shuofan's actions, and this unwanted contriver felt the same threat he felt from Zhuge Changfeng in this. Huangpu Qingtian and his interests were aligned, to end Shuofan. Alright, now that you've made your decision, hurry and take it. After you enter the Radiant stage, we will go hunt that pest down. Huangpu Qingtian smiled at the trio. They were all puzzled, and Yu Yushan was the first to inquire. Eldest young master, we do not know where to start. Do you perhaps know his location? But even so, why don't we go after him this instant instead of waiting to break through? Ha ha ha, Shuofan is bedridden and he'll make sure to hide where no one can find him. Not even me. But Sir Lung knows he will sooner or later appear at one place, and that is where we'll wait for him. With him licking his wounds, we won't be disturbed for a while. It is our best chance to bolster our power. When everything is set and we ambush him, he will have no room to escape. Huangpu Qingtian laughed. The three nodded amazedly. If Sir Lung said it, it must be so. The three placed a simple defensive array around them and ate the brimming sacred pill. Huangpu Qingtian smiled, placing Yang Fu and the others as guards. He placed his own defenses around and ate his own pill. The four of them were peak profound heaven experts, soon to be Radiant stage experts. Courtesy of brimming sacred pill, Huangpu Qingtian's soul's strength would be multiplied tens of times, and not even Shuofan with his shift would be able to escape his grasp. Shuofan's end was nigh. In another place, a purple lightning bird stood before a dark cave. The crackling lightning was enough deterrence for any approaching spiritual beast. A man covered in blood laid in the cave, unmoving with his wings and arm ripped away. It was the first time Shuofan had been in such a dangerous state. Xiao sometimes looked back in worry. It wanted to get Shuofan some food and water, but was worried it would come back to find a spiritual beast gorging on his body, so he stood watch. 10 days came and went as man and beast monopolized the cave in complete silence. Only on the 15th day, a groan came from Shuofan as he opened his eyes. The blinding sunlight coming from outside made him squint. Shriek tilde. Xiao flapped its wings and cheered with a smile. Shuofan forced himself up and said, "Don't worry. As long as Blood Infant is safe, I won't die." "How long was I out, Xiao?" he asked. Shriek tilde. Xiao flapped its wings and cried out. Shuofan frowned and smiled. "Half a month. Just in time. Come, it's time for us to settle a debt." Shriek tilde. Xiao barred his way, anxiously flapping its wings. "You'll die if you go now." Smiling, Shuofan patted its head. "Don't write off your old man just yet. I've got more than just a strong arm. A sharp head on my shoulders. Xiao, by my reckoning I won't even have to lift a finger to kill them all, hey?" Xiao cocked its head, unable to read between the lines. But seeing the crafty smirk, it dawned on the bird, "I didn't lose my right arm for nothing." Touching the stump, Shuofan's eyes glinted. Chapter 325, No, You Lost. Chapter 325, No, You Lost. A lonely and lazy figure was approaching the water exit in Beast King Mountain. From the empty right sleeve it was clear he only had one arm. Shuofan, the people beyond the National Elemental Stone, had been waiting for him to show up for 20 days. After the fight back at the Earth exit, Shuofan had vanished, only appearing before another exit. Now Shuofan's coming had them gasping. He's still alive. But the pale face and the wobbling gait let them know he was far from healed. Being in such a damaged state, it would have been common sense to look for a quiet corner somewhere to lay low and lick his wounds. Yet here he was, walking around. It made no sense. Luo Yunchang's eyes moistened. Why, must you? Uncaring of the audience commenting on his appearance, Zhuo Fan walked forth. When he was 100 meters off of the water exit, he stopped. He looked down at the empty ground and sighed. Everyone was startled. What's he doing? Only Chu Qingcheng and Luo Yunchang knew. Zhuo Fan paid homage to Xuaningxiang. This was where she died 20 days ago. Taking a deep and long breath, Zhuo Fan forced back his sadness and grief. Ninga, don't worry. Big brother Zhuo will soon make everyone follow you for what they did to you. May it bring you peace. Ha ha ha, bold words. How are you going to get revenge with that weak and crippled body? Are you a comedian now? A whistle reached his ears. 4 people now stood before Zhuo Fan, Huangpu Qingtian and his allies. Then a dozen people walked out of the woods to surround him, Yang Fu and the surviving vassals. What was truly shocking was Huangpu Qingtian's group had entered the radiant stage in preparation to deal with Zhuo Fan. Everyone knew they got the brimming sacred pill and that they had a good chance of advancing, but seeing it was another matter entirely. Seeing the 4 practically reborn, bolstered in power and speed, the people feared for the worse. In the long history of Tianyu, there had never been anyone entering the radiant stage before the age of 30. But now there were 4 of them. Shocking the masses, Huangpu Tianyuan was the one suffering the most. If his son had brought just one brimming sacred pill home, the House Lord would have achieved his lifelong dream of entering the radiant stage as well, but this wretched son of mine would rather leave his old man to die. Damn you. It was because of this he knew that when the 4 would return, their radiant stage cultivation would be a threat to every House Lord, ultimately to be replaced. The 4 House Lords looked at each other crestfallen. Chu Qingcheng was worried sick, choked with emotion. How was Zhuo Fan going to survive being wounded like that and up against 4 radiant stage experts? Fang Qiubai and Dugu Zhantian shook their heads. Fate has caught up to the kid. He has nowhere else to go. Leng Wuchang was the only one with a smile on his face, like everything went according to plan. Zhuo Fan looked at the 4, yet people found it odd how laid back he was about this whole trap thing. All he did was mutter, Ninga, do you see? Everyone who hurt you is here. Big brother Zhuo will avenge you. Yu Yushan looked puzzled. Zhuo Fan, have you lost it? There are 4 radiant stage experts here while you aren't even healed. There is a huge gulf between us and yet you dare spout things like revenge? Humph, you have lost in all aspect. Lin Xianfeng shouted frowning. Zhuo Fan glanced at him then showed a vague smile. Ha ha ha, no, it's you who has lost everything. Cut the crap you lunatic. Even the blind can see we 4 are invincible. Wake up and smell the roses. Lin Xuanfeng's eyes narrowed as he cursed, but Zhuo Fan's odd mirthless smile unnerved him. Huangpu Qingtian felt the same. With how sly he is, what did he plan to remain so calm in front of us? Huangpu Qingtian looked around for clues. But nothing was picked up when he released his soul and his worry only grew. Is he bluffing? Leng Wuchang was also frowning. Zhuo Fan was becoming more and more of an enigma with a mocking smile on his lips. Zhuo Fan sighed. Leng Wuchang sure is something. Able to guess I'll stop by to pay my respects to Ninga before leaving Beast King Mountain. He even had you set up an ambush. Truly a feat only unwonted contriver can pull. What? How can you know everything? Huangpu Qingtian cried. Leng Wuchang's eyes tightened and his aged hand clutched his beard, shaking his head. Zhuo Fan said, I know nothing really. But one thing I do know, every move we make is part of Leng Wuchang's grand design in some way or another. He'd been watching me for too long and I must say, he knows me better than I do myself. Since nothing I do will escape his plans, why not let nature run its course? Huangpu Qingtian looked hard at him then sighed as he probed, are you giving up? No, didn't I tell you already? I came for all your lives. Zhuo Fan's lips broke out into his trademark evil grin, seizing up. The 4 were totally oblivious to Zhuo Fan's meaning. He knows he can't escape Leng Wuchang's predictions, so why is he playing the winner? Does he have a way to turn it all around? It was easy for Zhuo Fan to guess what was on their minds. Ha ha ha, I have indeed fallen for Leng Wuchang's ploys, but to be fair, Huangpu Qingtian, haven't you fallen for mine as well? With Leng Wuchang in the background, when it comes to you and me, I come out on top. Huangpu Qingtian shuddered, not knowing whether to believe him or not. Is this mere grandstanding, a bluff? Leng Wuchang shot to his feet, his face changing color in seconds. His eyes swirled around, his mind fast at work. Then he looked up and cried, Did the punk know he can't escape my plans, so he went on the offensive to lay a trap for eldest young master? But when did he? Lung Wuchang's mind had guessed it, just that he didn't know the specifics, and his face paled. Zhuge Changfeng eyed this unwanted contriver and grinned. Avoid a ready enemy and only fight when he is weary. The kid sure is sharp. He knows he can't beat you in this mind game, so he chose to accept everything you did to him and fight your eldest young master. Sir Lung, you are not there by your lord. His scheming mind pales in comparison. Zhuo Fan's eyes sure are vicious, ha ha ha. Words failed Lung Wuchang. All he could do was stew in his anger. What did this punk do to Huangpu Qingtian to act so confident before 4 Radiant stage experts? Not even Zhuge Changfeng could figure it out, least of all him. Is this young pup able to turn the tables? He didn't believe it, he didn't want to believe it. Zhuge Changfeng was looking at the national elemental stone in anticipation. This prime minister wanted to see what godly scheme could he pull off to turn all of it around. Huangpu Qingtian stared hatefully at him. Zhuo Fan, stop lying. I don't believe you. With your weak body, what can your meager attempts possibly do against 4 Radiant stage experts to reverse this situation? Ha ha ha, you're wrong. To be honest, it's not me who will do it, you will. You will give me victory. In fact, I won the instant you guys entered the Radiant stage. Zhuo Fan snickered. Huangpu Qingtian roared, cut the bull, you're clearly faking it. I will personally turn you to ash and see you mock me then. Huangpu Qingtian pounced, aiming for Zhuo Fan's head. With how weak Zhuo Fan was, his head would crack like an overripe tomato. Luo Yunchang cried out and turned away. Chu Qingcheng was deeply troubled by what was coming, while only Zhuo Fan's smile never faltered. Like the incoming fist wasn't even there when the fist was about to touch him, he made a sign rumble. For no apparent reason, Huangpu Qingtian found his body stopping dead in its tracks. He couldn't control his body. Looking up at Zhuo Fan, he found the man's grin spitting on his face. Chapter 326, Zhuo Fan's Deceit. Chapter 326, Zhuo Fan's Deceit. Elite Coder. Eldest young master. Yu Yushan and the other 2 cried out, seeing Huangpu Qingtian frozen in place. Huangpu Qingtian was sweating buckets. I can't move. What are you standing around for? Do something. He knew Zhuo Fan must have done something, though he didn't know exactly what. Never for the life of him did he think it possible for Zhuo Fan, on his deathbed, to be hiding such an eerie trick. The fear of not knowing how he did it only amplified the dread. He was now stuck in place, waiting for the axe to fall. Even as his heart was beating out of his chest, his 3 allies knew time was of the essence and sprung on Zhuo Fan as well. The 3 mighty Radiant stage powers slammed into Zhuo Fan. He was forced 2 steps back, but he was not in the least bit panic, going by the wide grin. Stop. Making the same sign, Zhuo Fan mocked, I told you, you already lost. Rumble. Just like Huangpu Qingtian, the 3 stopped as well. Bug-eyed, they looked at the grinning Zhuo Fan in fear. They couldn't move as well. The viewers cried out in shock and doubt. Zhuge Changfeng and Lung Wuchang were also astounded. What did the punk do to gain control of them? They knew Zhuo Fan had the 4 in the bag. As for when the bag opened and the 4 were shoved in, no one knew, not even the 2 greatest minds of Tianyu. The most aware of it all were the victims. Huangpu Qingtian watched Zhuo Fan in shock. What did you do to me? Zhuo Fan only giggled and looked around. Once he had the 4 riled up, and the dozen vassals scared out of their minds, he spoke, eldest young master, you are fated to rule, Providence made you king. Can it be that your elders never told you when you were a child not to take candy from a stranger? What? What did we take? Huangpu Qingtian was stunned for a second and then it all came crashing down. The pills. Nodding, Zhuo Fan showed the same smile. We have a winner. The very same 8th grade pill, brimming sacred pill. I left a little something inside it, you see. So when you entered the Radiant stage, you had already lost. This can't be. Huangpu Qingtian and the other 3 felt a chill crawling up their spines. The pills they got that boosted their power were spiked. That meant they were now affected by its poison, but Huangpu Qingtian got them by coincidence when he ripped out Zhuo Fan's right arm. How could Zhuo Fan give it to us on purpose? Don't tell me. Eyes wide as saucers, they looked upon Zhuo Fan in horror. It was his plan all along. To even rip his own arm. Zhuo Fan knew fully well what went on in those little heads of theirs. Looks like you figured it out. I let Huangpu Qingtian take my right arm on purpose. The crowd was in complete shock. Lung Wuchang's eyes shuddered. Zhuo Fan's scheme ran so deep, so ruthless, that it made even unwanted contriver shiver who'd ever see it coming. He gave up an arm to have Huangpu Qingtian at his mercy. The people looking at the one-armed and frail Zhuo Fan had long lost their sympathy. Even his pale face was warped into that of a demon in the minds of his enemies. This clueless herd of sheep actually dared to surround the wolf. Ha ha ha, shocking, ain't it? I knew that I wouldn't be a match for you, so I cooked up a little something and had you all invited for dinner. Victory got to your head and pride lowered your guard. You thought I was breathing my last, that all danger had lifted. Then you took those tampered pills in your greatest moment of weakness. Zhuo Fan ginned maliciously back then. He knew Chu Qingcheng and the others were trapped as he rushed to the water exit. On his way he noticed a cold pond, reminding him of his old plan since God knew when to use bloodworms on his enemies, so he took advantage of the time Huangpu Qingtian believed his mind was in chaos after falling for their ploy and prepared his own scheme. Seeing Ninga dead truly made him go berserk, going after Huangpu Qingtian for revenge. Killing him himself would have been better, but if he did lose, he had this trick in mind ready to turn it all around, just in case. Like he said, he accepted all of Lung Wuchang's machinations, but not without leaving Huangpu Qingtian with a gift of his own, something Lung Wuchang would never consider. Seeing how everyone was up to their neck deep in his ploy and couldn't make sense of anything, Lung Wuchang always assumed they couldn't spare anything in plotting back. But Zhuo Fan knew he couldn't avoid it, so he accepted it all with open arms, leaving him with the opening needed to plan his own trickery, the one to take the win. Huangpu Qingtian stared at this demon incarnate horrified. Lung Wuchang was also trembling. He'd been a schemer and a plotter all his life, always achieving his projections. But Zhuo Fan managed to twist it around at the final moment. Then again, when taking into account Zhuo Fan's weird methods, hardly anyone could make feasible projections, but nevertheless, a loss was a loss. Lung Wuchang had to man up and admit he failed at the most crucial moment. All victories leading up to here were for nothing when he botched the final and most crucial battle. Zhuge Changfeng taunted, "Sir Leng, it seems to me that you messed with not just any monkey, but great sage, the equal of heaven, ha ha ha." Lung Wuchang's face twitched as he stewed in his own anger. Huangpu Qingtian was flawed, impossible. If we had never found those pills, your plan would have gone up in smoke and you'd lose your hand for nothing. Those pills clearly had Fang Qiubai's seal. Huangpu Qingtian's stiff face turned to Yang Fu, grinning. Zhuo Fan said, "What about the seal?" "Ha ha ha, true, you wouldn't have trusted the vials if you found them without the seals. But what if those seals were somehow removed in front of you, or given the impression that they were?" Yang Fu, Huangpu Qingtian glared in hatred under the bewildered gazes of everyone. Yang Fu stepped behind Zhuo Fan. They just had the shock of their lives. Yang Fu was one of Zhuo Fan's. Luo Yunchang was stunned. Since when did the Luo clan get to him? Hall Lord Yang Buogong's eyes were ready to pop from their sockets. His on Zhuo Fan's side. Since when? It was common knowledge that Zhuo Fan killed his master. There was no one out there who hated Zhuo Fan's guts more than him. So how? Ignoring the dumbstruck faces, Zhuo Fan mocked, "You guessed it, he's with me. I made sure to give him a sending jade way earlier too. If you hadn't found the pills on your own, he was there to make sure you'd correct that little mishap. And to make sure to remove any traces of my meddling. Of course, for you guys, someone insignificant like him would fall under your radar. But he ultimately sided with me and got you to fall for it, thus turning all this around. He takes all the credit for your defeat." Zhuo Fan praised Yang Fu, "You were marvelous. I won't soon forget it." "Thank you, Steward Zhuo." Yang Fu bowed. Yang Buogong's frail heart cracked. How was it that the pride of Pill King Hall, their genius alchemists hailed within their house, all ended up at Zhuo Fan's hands? And that was right under their nose too. He did it so openly, before every clan and house in Tianyu, that he literally bitch-slapped Pill King Hall into the ground. Long Ju and Jian Suifeng sighed in admiration. They discussed it back in Drifting Flowers City that Zhuo Fan was unequaled when it came to digging up a party's cornerstones. But seeing it firsthand, they had to take their hat off to him. And he did that with his most hateful enemy. Not even unwanted contriver saw that coming. The spy Zhuo Fan planted, or converted, was none other than the one who hated him the most, Yang Bangui saw red before his eyes. Yang Fu. You damn treacherous knave, you actually stooped so low to side with the man who killed your master. You are unworthy to be a Pill King Hall disciple, even less so to walk the earth. Humph, ever since my master left, it only got worse for me living in Pill King Hall. I have nothing to return to. Who cares about being some Pill King Hall disciple? Also. Squinting, Yang Fu's hate-filled eyes showed a hint of warmth, unaware he clutched at his chest. There laid hidden a green jade slip. Chapter 327, Revenge Game. Chapter 327, Revenge Game. Elite Coder. It was the same jade Zhuofan gave him when the man answered Huangpu Qingtian's challenge. It had a simple sentence, one that touched his heart. It was something his master had Zhuofan give to him. If you find your life in Pill King Hall difficult, come with Steward Zhuo to find me. He was certain from the soul trace on the jade slip that it was without a doubt his master's. The familiar feeling was so strong, he barely held back his tears. His master lived in the Luo clan. And by the sound of it, quite well he recalled what Zhuofan told him at the time, that he'd take him to see his master in hell. It was a clear proof of acceptance from that instant. This youth who hated Zhuofan's guts switched sides at the drop of the hat. He became Zhuofan's spy, feeding him information in secret. Yang Fu's eyes snapped to his clansman and he shouted, Yang Bangui, listen up. From this very moment, I and Pill King Hall are through. I belong to the Luo clan. A failure like you has no right to judge me. Yang Bangui was a keg set to blow, evident from his red face. His chest heaved, yet he couldn't find a word of reply. This son of a bitch finds himself some backing and thinks he can defy me? No matter how big a nerve he had earlier, he still wouldn't curse back. But now, Zhuofan was laughing it up at their expense. He praised Yang Fu, well said. This is the kind of mettle all youths of the Luo clan should have. These 4 may be in 6 dragons and 1 phoenix, but to me, they aren't worth a goddamned thing. Zhuofan's words were lofty and powerful. Looking down on all creation, Yang Fu was excited. Chest forward, head bobbing, the pride on his face unmistakable. He took on the same attitude he had when traveling with vicious Pill King inside. He sighed. Following Zhuofan is truly out of this world, freedom and bliss. All the hatred and bitterness festering in his heart during these years magically went away. No wonder my master got up and dumped Pill King Hall. His attitude sent a shiver down their spine. Scour the world and one would find the Luo clan's Zhuofan the only one to ever look at the 7 houses with such loathing. By the looks of it, this clan was growing in power, its future only bright. People began seeing the Luo clan in a different light, but the Luo clan's people had no time to mind others' opinion of them. Looking at the national elemental stone in worry, Zhuofan was dominating the show, but seeing how wounded he was, Luo Yunchang couldn't fight back the pain in her heart. Seeing the bloody one-armed Zhuofan, outsiders got the wrong idea seeing the Luo clan so worried. They thought worry came from Zhuofan possibly letting emotions override his judgment and that he might do something he would regret. In every esoteric debate that had been held in the past 1,000 years, many people died while the 7 houses held each other in professional courtesy, thus coming out unharmed each time. This time was no exception. They were split into factions, with heavy casualties on both sides, yet even in the most disastrous esoteric debate in history, all those that died were vassals. None from the 7 houses fell, not one from 6 dragons and 1 phoenix. This seemed to be the house's bottom line. However, if Zhuofan were to get impulsive and kill these 4, it would mark the start of the house war. This will make the Luo clan fodder in this war. And nobody from the Luo clan wanted to see that happen, but they were clearly overthinking things. They were blissfully unaware that the Luo clan was loyal to Zhuofan to a fault, even if fewer in numbers. They would accept any decision Zhuofan made, even bringing doom to the Luo clan. Of course, with Zhuofan's cunning mind there was no way he'd let that happen. So Luo clan's people held unshakable trust in Zhuofan's every action. Zhuofan's decision was Luo clan's decision. What are you gawking at? He's on his deathbed. Attack together and he will die. Huangpu Qingtian shouted at the rest. The 4 of them took the brimming sacred pill and couldn't control themselves, but their vassals hadn't and could still pose a threat to Zhuofan. It was the perfect moment to strike, at his most vulnerable. Once he got better, all would be done for. Yu Yushan noticed this as well and shouted along with his allies. They didn't get to move as the dozen bone-tempering cultivators' eyes went blank and they collapsed. Shuo Fan snickered. I may be wounded, but did you forget? My soul is in the radiant stage. The four gasped. They should have known that a sleeping tiger was still a tiger. Since when could ants take the soaring demonic dragon's life? The four were wrecked with despair. Huangpu Qingtian threatened. Shuo Fan, think this through. Killing us will start a war with our houses and the vassal clans. Are you willing to take that chance? Not even the emperor can save you then. War. Yang Fu knew the Luo clan was under the imperial family and Dugu Zhantian's protection, and since he had yet to be filled into the Luo clan's true power, he began to worry. Did I enter the Luo clan only to die? Shuo Fan grinned. Quite true. Killing you will start a war. How scary. But I am never one to write off a revenge. What to do, what to do? Shuo Fan put on a hypocritical thinking posture. Huangpu Qingtian's group was even more unnerved by his attitude. They hoped the punk would look at the big picture and get scared of what he saw, sparing them. In the meantime it went double for Huangpu Qingtian. Providence had him king and all that. His life was invaluable. How could he just die? I have it. Shuo Fan snapped his fingers, earning a jerk from his victims. Since I have to get revenge but you are nonetheless valuable and oughtn't be killed, I can only let heaven decide your fate. The four were shocked. But Shuo Fan's hand made a sign and the four could move. Though none of them could use their yuan qi, their cultivation was sealed. Huangpu Qingtian groaned as a thumb-sized hole appeared on his chest. The pain almost made him black out as he looked down. He was unbeatable all his life, never even suffering a heavy wound. But this sudden hole exploding from within was heartrending. Bam tilde. 3 more groans and his allies shared his pain. Shuo Fan, what are you going to do? Huangpu Qingtian gnashed his teeth. If you plan on killing us, stop playing and release us from this torment. Release you? Ha ha ha, did you release Ninga? Shuo Fan's smile was that of anger. Relax, I said that your fate is in heaven's hand and will give you guys a chance. I am a man of my word. The holes in your chest represent your number. He gestured at the four. The four found Huangpu Qingtian having 1 hole, so he ought to be 1. Yu Yushan had 2. Yang Bangui had 3 and Lin Shenfeng had 4. They looked at each other bewildered. Shuo Fan smiled. We will play a game, the Great Escape. I will give you guys 3 days to find the keys and leave this place. Getting back to Dragon Cloud City, your lives will be spared. But if I find you before you leave, hey, terribly sorry, but that's Providence. Now you can't blame me for being short-sighted and not giving you a way out. Shuo Fan's hand flashed and the keys to 3 exits appeared. He tossed them into the sky and they were soon spread all over Beast King Mountain. Yang Fu, make a sealed box for me holding 4 lots. 3 days later I will be drawing one, my target. As for the rest of you lucky fellows, you'd be spared, for a while. Since I am a bastion of fairness, I will release a signal before my hunt. Your lives are now in heaven's hands. With a wicked grin, Shuo Fan waved them off. Come on, off you go. But remember, you better hope I don't find you tilde. The 4 exchanged a glance and bolted in 4 directions. They knew Shuo Fan was playing with them, but they had no choice in the matter. All they could do was fight. Yang Fu gasped and turned to Shuo Fan. Steward Shuo, are you killing them or letting them go? Why go through all this trouble just to kill them? And if you wanted to let them go? Humph, how could I ever let them off? Shuo Fan's eyes glinted and his mood became deadly. Yang Fu, do you fear death? Yes. Yang Fu nodded. After a pause Shuo Fan shook his head. No, you do not fear death, but dying. Ninga was a pure-hearted girl. Although she had a smile upon her face at death, I know it was for our sakes. She knew she was going to die and must have felt a terrible dread. This fear tortured her for 3 days. Shuo Fan clenched his fists, his eyes bloodshot as he spat. So I will make those sons of bitches know the true meaning of fear every waking moment until they'd wish for death. Yang Fu shuddered and nodded. Shuo Fan never cared about some big picture, nor intended to let them off. He wanted them to suffer more than Xue Ningxiang did. Yang Fu now understood why he did it and went into the forest to carve a box out of a tree. Shuo Fan stayed behind, closed his eyes and resumed healing. Time passed on and the 3rd day was soon up. At the dawn of the 4th, Shuo Fan's eyes flashed open, out for blood by his side. Yang Fu presented the box obscuring its content. This was the item that would decide the four's fate. The hunt was on. Chapter 328, Go on Run, One-Legged Dragon. Chapter 328, Go on Run, One-Legged Dragon. Elite Coda. Which one Tilda? I wonder who's the lucky bastard that gets to go first. The suspense is killing me. Sneering, Zhuo Fan snapped his fingers and a wood piece floated out of the box. A tiny character was etched on it. 4. Oh, it's 4. Zhuo Fan's face split into a wide and very malicious grin. Then he asked, Remind me again, who was number 4? Yang Fu spoke with reverence, Steward Zhuo, number 4 is Forest Fleeting Dragon, Lin Shenfeng. Oh, it's that gimp dragon. What rotten luck. Among 6 dragons and 1 phoenix, I seem to recall having already taken my ire on him twice so far. Now Providence has spoken and has placed him first in my path. Ha ha ha, I can't help but wonder, has his crimes earned him such ill fate, or is he just so down on his luck, so cursed, to suffer hell first? Laughing, Zhuo Fan said, Whatever, in his case, he truly must be ill-fated, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan pointed at the sky. A flare shot up and exploded into 4 fireworks bathing the Beast King Mountain in red. The frantic Huangpu Qingtian, scurrying in the forest, looked up at the sound, for fireworks means number 4. Lin Shenfeng is such an unlucky dog. Huangpu Qingtian shook his head, rejoicing inside. Zhuo Fan was really playing by the rules and wasn't targeting him specifically. Or more likely than not, he'd be after him the first chance he got. With Lin Shenfeng playing the first victim, it bought him precious time to find the keys. Tightening the red crystal in his hand, Huangpu Qingtian took a deep breath and sped up in the search for its pair. He needed yin and yang keys to be home free. He had to work even faster now. Who knew how fast Lin Shenfeng would fall and who'd be the next poor schmuck to follow? On the off chance it was him, that would mean death. Although he breathed easier for a moment, the anxiety only mounted. Yang Bangui and Yu Yushan noticed the flare with their nerves stretched taut. This meant Zhuo Fan's death game had started, but they relaxed soon after, seeing Zhuo Fan going after Lin Shenfeng. Their safety was assured, for now though they also knew that once Lin Shenfeng fell, Zhuo Fan would go after them. And with their cultivation sealed up, Zhuo Fan would pick them like ants, and so, their speed mounted, as did their will to live. The pressure had grown on the 3 who lucked out, but the last one was showing quite a different reaction. Hell yeah. I got the wood exit keys. My luck is off the hook. In a particularly glum and dark corner of the forest, Lin Shenfeng clenched the 2 green crystals and danced in joy. Even with a number of close to 30,000 people wandering Beast King Mountain's forest for a month now, the wood exit keys were never found. And here he was catching a lucky break. This luck is godlike. All he had to do was get to the wood exit and he'd be back in the safety of Dragon Cloud City. This would make his survival, by Zhuo Fan's game rules, Providence. Zhuo Fan couldn't touch him. Zhuo Fan may be a very sore loser, but every elder in Dragon Cloud City, along with Dugu Zhantian and Fang Qiubai keeping the peace, would make sure to prevent any foul play. He would be safe. Filling his lungs with air, Lin Shenfeng felt the urge to bow before the mighty power of heaven, to offer his gratitude for actually caring, for once, about his fate. All previous resentments were wiped clean as his luck had finally turned. He was looking at the dawning sky with a smile on his face when a sudden flare exploded into 4 fireworks. The crimson sky reflected perfectly on his equally red face. The heavens are giving me their blessing, ha ha ha. Lin Shenfeng was still trapped in his fantasy, giggling away. But then his smile froze. How can old heaven get up and burst for no rhyme or reason? That's man-made. With the 4 having their cultivation sealed, it only left Zhuo Fan. Is that the signal starting his death game? The sky had 4 fireworks. Doesn't that paint a target on #4? Lin Xuanfeng's face twitched, looking rigidly at his chest and the holes in it. There they were, in all their bloody glory, 4 holes bored into him precisely 3 days ago. Fuck, I'm that number 4. The corners of Lin Xuanfeng's mouth sank and tears threatened to burst out of his eyes. He had a good thing going here, this close to renewing his lease on life. But Providence had a different plan in mind, sending Zhuo Fan on a manhunt for the first target. Him he plunged from the glorious halls of paradise, into the infernal abyss. My luck has turned, worse than ever. Old heaven, could you please not tease me? Lin Xuanfeng's heart shuddered, his eyes hot from tears, feeling victimized. Not forgetting the fact that he wasn't even included in the plan to kill the lass. That was all Yang Bangui and Yu Yushan's doing, prodded by Huangpu Qingtian from behind. He should be going after those three for revenge. Why? Why is it that the first one that monster is hunting is me? It's so unfair. Lin Xianfeng wailed, asking the heavens with his pitiful eyes, what do I do now? At this very moment, he felt like the most miserable and wretched man in this whole wide world, never mind the leg Zhuo Fan snapped off of him, or the hand Zhuo Fan disintegrated. Zhuo Fan was now hot on his heels for revenge. Yet he, the only one innocent in this whole matter, was the first target. Just what magnitude of bad luck was this? Lin Xuanfeng's eyes opened the floodgates. However, he didn't have time to wallow in self-pity. With 2 keys in hand, all he had to do was get to the wood exit and he'd be the winner. Lin Xianfeng broke into a mad dash, short of 1 leg, granted, but not slower than in his prime. His title, Forest Fleeting Dragon, was granted for his amazing speed after all. But with a flash of golden light, there came Zhuo Fan popping not 100 yards from the man. Lin Xianfeng, you saw the flare, I assume. Indeed, you're my first victim. Be good and stand still, would you? Isn't it too soon? How did he find me so fast? Lin Xianfeng whipped his head back and sure enough, Zhuo Fan had a positively killing smile. Bro, can't you cut me some slack? Huangpu Qingtian planned on killing the girl. And the other 2 executed it. I was in the dark when it happened. If you want revenge, go take it out on them. I'm innocent here. Lin Xianfeng hopped away in panic, a sniveling mess, as he begged. But the dread only grew and the despair deepened. Smiling, Zhuo Fan looked down on the man but never got closer. He always stayed within 100 meters. You're right. Among the 4, you can be called innocent. But how is it my fault your number came up? I made this game and will respect its rules. You only have old heaven to blame for your hapless fate. Ha ha ha. Face sinking deeper in sorrow, Lin Xianfeng gave his all in hopping forward, but could never shake Zhuo Fan off. Since it's fate, I can only resign to it. Why must I suffer so? The hunter could collect on his life any time he wanted, but wasn't doing it for his own amusement since death was certain. A quick one was preferred. Lin Xianfeng sighed and slowed down. Zhuo Fan knew what he was thinking from 100 meters away, but you are also right in being innocent. Here's a thought. I see you have the wood exit keys, so I will make an exception. If you can reach the wood exit and Dragon Cloud City within a day, you win and I will consider the matter settled. Truly. The resigned Lin Xianfeng found a glimmer of hope and his speed shot up again. Zhuo Fan's cold tone came from 100 meters away again. I'll be right here, behind you. If your time is up and you're still here, I'll make my move. Lin Xianfeng bobbed his head. You said it, so you better not go back on your word. Ha ha ha, I am playing the game by the books and with no regrets. Zhuo Fan's eyes glinted. Lin Xuanfeng's heart burst with joy and he put more power in his leg. At some point, sweat poured down him like rain and his leg seared with pain. After hopping for half a day, he found that he still had a lot of ground left to cover. He ignored the pain and pushed through at full speed. Zhuo Fan was always behind him, coldly staring and sharpening his bloodthirst. Humph, Forest Fleeting Dragon, did you really think I'll let you live? I only chose the best way to kill you. Not a single person related to Ninga's death will be spared. Zhuo Fan scoffed internally. Chapter 329, The Best Way to Die. Chapter 329, The Best Way to Die. Elite Coder. Lin Xianfeng, half a day has passed. The owner of the cold eyes stalking the beaten-up prey spoke panting. Lin Xianfeng was soaked but wasn't slowing down even for a second. He only took deep breaths and gained more speed, not stopping for his life. In 10 hours I'm making a move. Lin Xianfeng, with his sealed cultivation, had been at it for 14 hours. His speed had been at its peak all this time and his leg shuddered with every hop. The run had been so intense, the sole of his shoe had worn off. He'd been hopping about barefoot through thorns and bushes and was now leaving a blood trail. He wished nothing more than to take a breather after such a long and intense fleeing, but Zhuo Fan's constant cold reminder from behind came as a rude awakening. Stopping meant dying, his corpse forever pushing up daisies in the middle of the forest. Lin Xuanfeng's sole option was to bear through the pain and run 8 hours left. The countdown on his life aroused Lin Xianfeng from his rambling run and swaying vision. That's too soon. A glance at the sky would give light into this matter, unless of course a certain face was blocking it, scaring the living daylight out of him. You still have time to stargaze. The clock is ticking. Better hurry up or your head will fall. Zhuo Fan grinned. Lin Shenfeng gasped and forgot about the sky as he sprung forth like mad. Zhuo Fan snickered and resumed following from behind. Like a reaper, his voice descended upon the wretched 6 hours left. Lin Xuanfeng's eyes were bloodshot in his mad sprint. 4 hours left. Lin Shenfeng ran with his life on the line. Faster than even before he got his cultivation sealed. Only 2 hours. Zhuo Fan's face twisted in a grim smile. Lin Xuanfeng's face fell. He was soaked in sweat, his face red as blood, but his heart was wrecked from this torment. He closed his eyes and ran head first. Passing one more bush just like the thousands before it, Lin Shenfeng saw a green crystal, 4 meters tall. The wood exit. The audience knew Zhuo Fan and the four were playing a deadly game of chase. It looked like he was torturing them. Many believed he pulled a game on them as an excuse to come out of this pickle with his face unmarred. Zhuo Fan was the top dog for thousands of miles around, and yet still refrained from setting himself against 4 houses by looking for a reason to let the 4 go. But when Lin Shenfeng came out from the forest, they were shocked. Lin Shenfeng looked nothing like the proud forest-fleeting dragon of before. Passing through pointy vegetation barefoot had made pinpoint incisions each time, and now his sole of the foot was stripped of flesh. As he crossed the last bush, everyone heard a resounding crack. His knee snapped from the sheer speed. In an open fracture, anyone moving at such blazing speed would know what that meant. But Zhuo Fan's constant reminder had him scared to death. His mind had been reduced to thinking only about survival, and he was unaware what running for his life at such insane speed would do. Not even when his last leg broke and his bloody face crunched into the ground did Lin Shenfeng care. His eyes showed only madness. Watching the wood exit ahead, he cackled. Ha ha ha, I've finally arrived. I can survive. With red eyes and without legs, Lin Shenfeng crawled his way forward as his lips cracked into a smile. Euphoria descended upon his mind. He was going to live. This was the chance Zhuo Fan gave him, the chance to survive. Of the 4 he was the only one innocent, so Zhuo Fan gave him a way out, as long as he could grasp it. Lin Shenfeng elbowed his way faster towards his hope. The audience was speechless. Why was he looking so wretched and yet found the time to smile? He looked mangled, battered and wretched, yet had such a crazed look of happiness. What is going on? Nobody would know that Zhuo Fan had turned Lin Shenfeng like this, that he had etched a demon in his heart. I won. I'm going to live. Lin Shenfeng panted as he crawled before the wood exit. With shaking hands, he placed the keys from his ring into the groves. With exultation, the audience nodded. The guy looked to be coming out of a torture chamber, but he was going home now. As the last key approached the slot, a lazy leg stepped on his hand and he dropped the crystal. Lin Shenfeng looked in shock to see Zhuo Fan's manic grin. The audience watched the two with hearts in their throat. Was Zhuo Fan such a demon to kill him right at the very end? Lin Xuanfeng's face didn't seem to say so. He wasn't shocked, having known this was coming every 2 hours. Blinking his bleary eyes, Lin Xuanfeng's hoarse voice came out oozing his desperation. I'm here, I won. Zhuo Fan shook his head, peering down on him. Unfortunately, time is up. If only you were a fraction faster you'd have made it. A shame. SSS tilde. Lin Shenfeng gasped and his face shuddered, changing from fear to sorrow, to denial and despair. His eyes shrank and his head slumped. The agony in those eyes was so vivid, anyone could see how hopeless, how dead they were. The people were appalled. A person suddenly appeared. Yang Fu asked Zhuo Fan, unclear what happened. Steward Zhuo. Zhuo Fan merely gestured at the bloody man. Yang Fu kneeled and felt his neck. Steward Zhuo, he's dead. The people were frightened. Why would a perfectly fine man get up and die? Did they miss Zhuo Fan doing something? Yang Fu asked. He has no mortal wound. Steward Zhuo, how did you do it? Through fear, exhaustion and despair. Zhuo Fan smiled coldly. Yang Fu was even more puzzled. Is this a joke? Since when can a radiant stage expert die from fear, exhaustion and anguish? Zhuo Fan said, I sealed his cultivation so he could only draw speed from his body. When I came upon him, we were a ways away from here. Running all the way here would take 3 days at the minimum. But I told him he had one day to escape or I'll kill him. He gave his all and more in running here with me behind him, reminding of the time fear had gnawed at his body, making waste more stamina without even realizing it. When he finally did arrive, hope blossomed. After 3 long days of fear, he saw a ray of hope. His state of mind was already shaken when I came and told him the time was up. Then all that hope turned into anguish. Joy into grief, shock into fear. It all happened so fast that these emotions attacked his mind and took his life. That is why I said he was scared to death, but also exhausted to death. Even more so, died from anguish. Zhuo Fan smiled. Yang Fu's heart thumped. He knew Zhuo Fan was vicious, but not that monstrous. He toyed with a man's dignity until the man fell to his death gulping. Yang Fu probed, "Steward Zhuo, did he reach here in one day?" Zhuo Fan snickered. The kid had quite the potential. He lived up to his title and was quite fast in getting here with 2 hours to spare too. But as I was always behind like a reaper, I scared him and stopped him from checking the time until he even forgot about the real time. So when I said he lost it. Then despair and fear claimed him. Ha ha ha. The grand forest fleeting dragon truly was the fastest. So fast that he ended up breaking his only leg and died from exhaustion. Wasn't it the best way to die? Ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan cackled. Yang Fu and the audience were sweating bullets and a shiver went down their spines. Demon. Chapter 330, next up. Chapter 330, next up. Elite Coder. Bring out the box. Let's see who's the next lucky bastard. Zhuo Fan's condescending smile turned manic. The suspense is killing me. I have to get back in the game. Hi. Zhuo Fan's demonic side was there for all to see, sending shivers and horrors to the faint-hearted people. Thought Zhuo Fan was using an excuse to let them go, for the bigger picture and what not. But they all knew they had grossly overestimated him. Zhuo Fan wanted nothing more than to play a savage game and toy them to death in the process. The hatred boiling in Zhuo Fan had driven him mad for a long time now. His unorthodox method at exacting revenge had few appalled, and the rest horrified. Only those 3 knew of Lin Xuanfeng's true anguish and pain. The rest would be fortunate to seek out suicide than wait for Zhuo Fan to find them shaking their heads. People sighed. Messing with the 7 houses? Fine. Stomping on Regent Estate's toes? Not bad either. But may God have mercy on any who was ignorant enough to incite the wrath of demon Archon Zhuo Fan. The end wouldn't be pretty, that was for sure. Yang Fu presented the object of interest and Zhuo Fan smiled. He plunged his hand inside and soon came out with the lucky runner-up. Zhuo Fan looked at the number and smirked. Humph, enemies meet on a narrow road. So I'll be hunting down this lackey next. Zhuo Fan flipped the wooden piece over toward the wood exit for all to see. To none other than Xuaningxiang's killer, Yu Yushan. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed and he pointed above. Whoosh. A flare rose above the clouds, exploding in a brilliant double firework. Huangpu Qingtian and Yang Bangui checked nervously, then looked at the holes on their chest, and finally relaxed. Thank God it's not me. Though they knew this safety was ephemeral with how soon Zhuo Fan let out the second flare, it went without saying that Lin Xianfeng had bit the dust. With Yu Yushan as the second victim, who was to know how long he'd last before death would loom over them? With nerves stretched tighter than a violin, the weight was mounting. The ever-present fear. They could literally feel Zhuo Fan's demon claw squeezing down on their throat. Like Zhuo Fan said, death wasn't terrifying. But dying was agony. Palpable fear was their longtime companion now, Huangpu Qingtian in particular. The guy had been invincible one too many times in his life and had never experienced this side of a battle. Almost having a nervous breakdown, he had reached such a state that any loud noise was treated as Zhuo Fan sending a signal, doing nothing but pushing him further into the depths of despair. Right now, he was angry. Providence had made him king, so how could he be such a coward? He had completely ignored the precarious and erratic state his mind was currently in. Zhuo Fan's death game had him running scared, crushing any royal demeanor he ever had. In another corner of the forest, Yu Yushan finally had the keys to the metal exit. His cheering was quite premature and disconcerting, at least when the flare exploded in the sky and fear replaced any trace of joy. Looking down at his own chest, 2 holes were there for all to see. Demon Zhuo Fan was on the hunt for him. Yu Yushan's face fell, his fate suddenly turning on him. It was so appalling that his mind exploded in quite the colorful curses. That damn rotten Lin Shenfeng. Wasn't he praised for speed? Why did he let himself get caught so fast? Did he give up? Couldn't you hang on for at least a few days longer and let your brothers reach safety? Humph, a gimp is a gimp, alive or dead. Not a single damn use. Yu Yushan cursed at the dead, but the top priority was still getting out of here and out of Zhuo Fan's range. As luck would have it, he was a short way off the metal exit. He only had to reach it and he'd wallow in safety. Yu Yushan set into a sprint, thinking he still had some time before Zhuo Fan got to him. Yu Yushan dashed like a maniac, and the fact that Zhuo Fan hadn't shown himself yet eased some of his tense muscles. His guess had been spot on. Zhuo Fan would need time to get to him, but as we all know, appearances can be deceiving. The golden exit shined its glow before him, like the goddess of victory opening her arms to welcome him. But then his eyes shrank and his body froze in place. What awaited him were two very familiar figures: Yang Fu, the snitch, and Zhuo Fan, the demon the viewers sighed. Oh, you poor schmuck, these two have been waiting for you for ages and you just had to walk right into their trap. Zhuo Fan looked at the sky and then at the dumbstruck Yu Yushan. You came. I've been waiting here for an hour now. What are you doing here? How did you know I was coming here? And more importantly, did you come here to stop me? Yu Yushan's mind was going a mile a minute, not knowing what to do. He just couldn't tell if Zhuo Fan was now a master diviner or not. How did he get here so fast moments after dealing with Lin Shenfeng? As if a mind reader, Zhuo Fan's cold smile came in response to his thoughts. Yu Yushan, you are Ningus executioner. Now then, what's the best way to go about killing you? Gulping, Yu Yushan watched Zhuo Fan inch closer towards him. His legs were shaking like noodles and he soon collapsed in fear. He started bawling on his knees for mercy. Brother, let me go. I am a mere underling. Leng Wuchang is the one who planned to kill her. Huangpu Qingtian was the director and I was merely following orders. Take your revenge on them. I was just a lackey, mere nobody. Please let me go. TCH, what 6 dragons and 1 phoenix? Aren't they all sniveling cowards when death looms? Yang Fu was milking his dread for all he was worth. Zhuo Fan's follower felt no little satisfaction seeing the grand 6 dragons and 1 phoenix treated with such derision on the viewer's side. Everyone sported disgust at Yu Yushan's character. Valley Lord Yu Wanshan's face was dark and broody. Yu Yushan was a dragon, which in turn represented the image of Hell Valley. Even with his cultivation sealed, meeting Zhuo Fan would merely end up in death. But instead he opted for the coward's way out, bawling on his knees for his miserable life, while also shaming Hell Valley completely. The 7 houses of Tianyu were seen as lofty existences, revered and feared. But now, that respect is long gone. Even the great disciples of their houses were merely men in the end. They fear the strong and death just like the next bloke. Even our clans have a few intrepid characters among us. In this aspect at least, we are stronger than the houses. The 7 houses were seen as gods in the Tianyu Empire. But taking them down from their cozy throne would make all the reverence vanish. Fang Qiubai and Dugu Zhantian nodded with a smile the way they saw it. Zhuo Fan was practically issuing a death sentence to the houses. At the very least, the vassals the 7 houses enjoyed seeing fighting over their attention would thin out. It was just another blow at their name, what the emperor only dreamt of achieving. Who'd have thought it would come to fruition at the hands of Zhuo Fan? The 7 houses' image was almost ruined. The emperor would laugh for days if he knew. Long Xingyun and Xie Tianshang sighed at their fortune, the fortune of sticking with Zhuo Fan. Otherwise, they would have been standing in Yu Yushan's place by now. Losing their life was nothing compared to losing their house's image. Zhuo Fan was a demon archon, an incontestable existence. It was far better to join him than suffer his wrath. Long Xingyun looked at Long Yifi in respect. The old man knows his stuff to see the diamond in the rough. His mind is even sharper to stay close as well. Long Yifi noticed his son's eyes and held his head high. Xingyun, see that? That's how a house lord should be, to have an eye for talent. Zhuo Fan smirked at the hapless and disgusting thing. Did they also tell you to rob Ningus essence? Yu Yushan was sweating bullets, not missing a beat in his begging and bowing. They wanted to see her suffer and all I could do was follow orders. Here, take the girl's essence. Please have it and let me go. Yu Yushan took a censer from his ring and presented it. Zhuo Fan received it and looked at the pure essence within. Feeling the familiar aura, Zhuo Fan's hands shook, his heart was in pain and his eyes looked ready to burst, but he pushed the sadness back even with the essence in his hand. His towering rage blew like a volcano. Yu Yushan, since you took it, then you must know how long the body can last before it must be returned. 24 hours. Yu Yushan trembled, his voice faltering under Zhuo Fan's rage squinting. Zhuo Fan barked, you know it's useless now, yet you still dare to give it to me? I should smash you to death with it. Zhuo Fan was about to do just that. Yu Yushan held his head in fear. But as it was Ninga's memento, he couldn't bear to stain her pure essence with this filth. Zhuo Fan put the censer away and smiled. Do you believe taking one's essence to be the most excruciating pain? Ha ha ha, that's because you haven't seen me do it. Chapter 331, Devoured. Chapter 331, Devoured. Elite Coder. When you do it. Yu Yushan shuddered in fear. Zhuo Fan sported his trademark twisted smile of cruelty. Those words had Yu Yushan scared to death. Rumble. Yu Yushan found himself paralyzed and slumped. Zhuo Fan walked up to him and showed an icy gourd. Yu Yushan, don't you find it odd how I'm in control of all your actions? How do I know your precise location? Blinking, Yu Yushan was filled with doubt but couldn't even speak. All he could do was watch Zhuo Fan with a chaotic mind. Ha ha ha, I don't mind telling you my little secret. To be quite honest, none of you are poisoned, but have my demonic creature in you as a parasite. These demonic creatures are linked with me. No matter where you go or you wish to go, I'll know it all. Zhuo Fan opened the gourd and a worm wiggled out. Yu Yushan's heart seized in shock. A demonic cultivator had demonic creatures, of course, but even he didn't know of such a devastating demonic creature that could control a radiant stage expert at this moment. He realized that they had Zhuo Fan's parasites within them, and even if they did run, they wouldn't leave Zhuo Fan's control. All of this death game nonsense had been rigged from the start. Zhuo Fan loomed over them like a god and they were his puppets. Yu Yushan groaned in despair. Funny how they were filled with hope in finding the keys to get out alive, when everything was set from the beginning. Their fate was sealed. Zhuo Fan snickered. There's no point in crying over it. You guys still have hope. I won't be out there looking for my next victim as long as the current one entertains me enough. Make it worth my while, let me forget about everything and the others would have enough time to escape. What do you mean by that? Yu Yushan had a very bad feeling about this. Zhuo Fan laughed and said, simple really. I'm ready to have some fun with you. Zhuo Fan flipped the gourd and bloodworms spilled out on Yu Yushan. He was deathly pale but couldn't move, only panicked. Zhuo Fan, what are you doing? Ha ha ha, what indeed? Can't you tell? I'm letting you have a taste of a pain worse than death by essence extraction. Zhuo Fan's eyes showed his savagery. A wail of agony broke the stillness of the forest. Those 1,000 squirming bloodworms burrowed into Yu Yushan's skin. They began feasting on his flesh and blood started pouring from his body. His face twisted in pain, veins popping, mouth trembling from wanting to bite his tongue, but he was robbed of even that freedom. Zhuo Fan watched the convulsing body with eerie calmness. I've fed these 1,000 bloodworms my blood essence, but how could my meager blood be enough to quench their hunger? Fighting over a single drop of blood has turned them vicious. But thanks to you showing up, they can finally have their fill, ha ha ha. And that's not even half of it. They have tiny jaws but are quite pointy, with a passion for a man's mind. Over the next few days, you ought to feel it, the pain. It's likely 100 times worse than having your essence drawn. The good news is, they are quite the slow eaters and like to keep the taste fresh, you see. So as they work their way deeper, they make sure to keep you from bleeding out. You won't die anytime soon, let me tell you, just enough for you to enjoy the sweet and blissful pain, ha ha ha. Artilda, just kill me. Yu Yushan gnashed his teeth, roaring like a beast. Zhuo Fan only mocked him, that's not very nice. All the pain you're feeling will help buy your eldest young master time. Isn't he your master? Weren't you obeying his orders? What can a meager sacrifice compare to that? Fuck him and kill me already. Then go and kill him too. Why should I suffer for him? Yu Yushan's eyes were popping out of his skull. Zhuo Fan's eyes glinted coldly. Since you don't consider him your master, why did you listen to his order and let Ninga suffer? Humph, wake up and smell the roses. A man should own up to his mistakes and bear through the consequences. Zhuo Fan smiled and sat down to the side to heal. The wails of agony music to his ears. Yang Fu shuddered, his back cold as ice. Glancing at the howling figure, then at the calm Zhuo Fan, his awe only grew. Steward Zhuo's revenge isn't to be taken lightly. Not even the insufferable brats from the 7 houses have such capacity for cruelty. This was a good opportunity to see the vicious side of soaring demonic dragon. The viewers listened to the screams with fear in their hearts. Shui clan's 3 generations knew Zhuo Fan was doing it for Ninga, but even they found the cruelty a touch inhumane. They found the murderer of their dear Ninga a sorry sight, having offended Zhuo Fan. They actually felt pity for him. If the victims themselves would think so of their tormentor, it went without saying about the rest. In the minds of everyone out there, a single thought ruled: never ever mess with this demon archon. Even as time trickled by, Yu Yushan's ravings never stopped. A day later, Yu Yushan's skin was gnawed away by the bloodworms, his face unrecognizable. He looked like a dried corpse, red all over yet without a drop of blood on him. The bloodworms made sure not to spill their drink, while Yu Yushan's screams were relentless. On the second day, all of Yu Yushan's tendons were devoured. All that was left was a pile of flesh, having nothing to hold him together. But Yu Yushan's cries kept on coming. On the third day, Yu Yushan's flesh was next. Even if he wanted to wail now, he couldn't. Wailing for 2 days straight had turned him mute. Then came the 4th day and the bloodworms went to work on his bones. Finally, on the 9th day, Yu Yushan was picked almost completely clean. Whether intentional or not, the bloodworms left behind his vital organs intact. As if to let him see with his own eyes the gory sight that he was, without flesh and bones. At this vile and gruesome sight, Yang Fu's stomach flipped and emptied. The viewers were horrified by the torture, turning away to keep their own sanity. Yu Yushan's eyes glistened, begging Zhuo Fan for death, the only thing he could do. His throat, neck and tongue had long been devoured. All that was left of him were a few arteries and organs, barely keeping him from flatlining. Yet it was a pain worse than death. Zhuo Fan glanced at the sufferer, looked at his pleading face, and said, "Want to die?" Yu Yushan rolled his eyes frantically. With the eyelids gone as well, he was hardly equipped to convey his meaning. Zhuo Fan understood him clearly. Either way, Zhuo Fan said, "Let this be a lesson. You can mess with the king of hell, but never with this steward." Yu Yushan's eyes moved faster, to convey that he understood. The viewers watched in shock. Zhuo Fan was speaking more to them than to the dying Yu Yushan. His meaning was crystal clear: see that? Be nice and don't side with that rotten regent estate against me. So what if you're from the 7 houses? Your death will be as brutal as I feel like it. Everyone came to the same sensible decision then and there, to be cautious. While for regent estate's vassals, their minds began working as well, although from a different angle: to never involve themselves with the Luo clan, even in death. Their steward is a god-damned inquisitor. Fang Qiubai rejoiced inside. The brat is awesome. He made one guy take the fall and scared the rest from ever getting anywhere near regent estate. Huangpu Tianyuan's face sank. He felt it loud and clear: how Zhuo Fan had trampled on the regent estate's 1,000-year-long prestige. How could they proclaim themselves rulers over Tianyu if everyone gave them a wide berth? Everyone from the regent estate looked at Zhuo Fan with hatred and helplessness. Zhuo Fan signaled the bloodworms to devour the organs. They moved quickly and Yu Yushan was gone in moments. It was obvious that Zhuo Fan was lying out of his ass when he said that bloodworms were slow eaters. It was only a means to torture Yu Yushan more, but watching himself being eaten quickly, spared of any further torment, Yu Yushan's final gaze was that of relief. Yang Fu gasped and rushed with the box over. "Steward Zhuo, please." "No need." Zhuo Fan waved, his eyes savage. "We've wasted too much time here and the criminals are about to escape." Zhuo Fan released another Flare 1 firework. Huangpu Qingtian's number was up. "Just you wait. You are the one who will never ever leave this place alive." Chapter 332, Dragon Eater. Chapter 332, Dragon Eater. Elite Coda. Bang! A blazing light shined above Beast King Mountain just as Huangpu Qingtian got out from a bush. He saw a single firework and panicked. The demon has finally set his sights on me. However, with a sly grin, Huangpu Qingtian's eyes glinted and his hand flickered with 2 red crystals. Hehe, too little too late. Huangpu Qingtian took a deep breath and rushed forward filled with excitement. He had the fire keys and even the fire exit was just around the corner, needing merely 2 hours to reach it from the distance of the flare. He noticed that Zhuo Fan was far away and would need a long time to catch up with how damaged he was. Even in this great escape, the true winner shall be me, the rightful king. Ha ha ha, Yu Shan, well done in keeping the demon occupied for so long. I really have to thank you for helping me live. Huangpu Qingtian's tone turned colder, although, that's providence. Sacrificing yourself for me is the highest form of death. I am a true king for old heaven to pave my way, ha ha ha. Cackling, Huangpu Qingtian sped up as the arrogance returned to his face. To him, everything and anything that happened was providence. Zhuo Fan could have easily broken his neck and be done with, but who knew what came over him to turn it all into a death game? Zhuo Fan had already killed 2 of them, leaving the first and third free to roam the forest for quite a long time. This was clearly heaven bestowing its blessings and allowing the rightful king to make a comeback, to rule the world. Huangpu Qingtian's narcissistic tendencies knew no bounds. Zhuo Fan, I'll let you have this one. But I am the true king. One day you will die by my hand, humph. Bloodthirst entered his eyes as he ran faster. Whoosh tilde. An hour later, Huangpu Qingtian flashed out of the high grass and appeared before the crimson crystal exit. With no one else around, Huangpu Qingtian's face lit up. I knew the punk wouldn't make it. It's my win. The viewers saw him appear as well and were getting nervous. Was Zhuo Fan running late, leaving this guy to win? Everyone thought of it as a darn shame. Not just Drifting Flowers' edifice and allies, but Regent Estate's many vassals hung their heads in defeat. It had started with Zhuo Fan having the 4 of their lives at his fingertips. He had insisted on torturing them one at a time, only to finally let the main culprit off the hook. It wasn't out of hate for Huangpu Qingtian, but people felt sorry for Zhuo Fan. If the prey slipped away from one's fingers, it was the worst feeling anyone could have. People started to send their hearts to Zhuo Fan. This must be the magnetism of the strong. Lung Wuchang frowned at everyone's reaction. As things stood, it was only a matter of time before Zhuo Fan would tarnish Regent Estate's entire reputation. The elders from Regent Estate had no clue about this, only rejoicing at seeing their eldest young master almost out of the woods. Huangpu Qingtian was after all a renowned genius that not even the Regent Estate could afford to lose. I just need to put the crystals in and I'm done. Panting, Huangpu Qingtian reached the exit and stabbed the crystals in the grooves. Tilde. A red pillar shot for the skies in a dazzling light show. Huangpu Qingtian stared at the light with a smile. Ha ha ha, Zhuo Fan, I won. I'm still alive. Regent Estate's elders were excited as well, watching the national elemental stone with red eyes. If only the array wasn't a one-way transfer, they'd be in there dragging him here. Eldest young master, don't show off and hurry already. But a king wasn't a king without a bit of swag and hot air. Since he got out of hell, he had to first regain his rightful appearance worthy of his position, being unnecessarily pompous, unhurried in the least, especially when one step got him home. Huangpu Qingtian's cocky look made the Regent Estate elders gnash their teeth. Huangpu Qingtian first began with cleaning up his act and straightening his messy hair. He didn't forget to recover his usual haughty look after the exhaustion he had suffered all these days running, to regain his poised nobility and to return home triumphant. Regent Estate elders' faces twitched. They wished nothing more than to give him a beating. Eldest young master, prancing aside, you're still in grave danger. Your life is about to run out, yet you actually have the time to stroke your ego. Humph, you'll only have yourself to blame if you die now. The Regent Estate's elders sighed, not realizing their complaints turned out to be curses. Huangpu Qingtian, having finally recovered a modicum of royal cockiness, strutted towards the fire exit like the true winner of the esoteric debate. Then, a thunderous boom came with the fall of lightning. Stop. Huangpu Qingtian's lifted leg twisted and exploded in a mist of blood. His body had yet to pass the veil and a heart-rending pain stabbed his chest as he collapsed. Huangpu Qingtian didn't need to turn around to know who was behind him. Startled, Huangpu Qingtian never would have guessed Zhuo Fan would reach him so fast when he was already so hurt. Does this mean he was going to die? What about that prancing just now? All that showing off and priming himself made him look like a clown. Huangpu Qingtian gnashed his teeth and kicked with his remaining leg before he hit the ground, aiming for the exit. His life aside, he had to survive and maintain his regal prestige. He could not allow his royal self to be reduced to a laughingstock. He had to become the final winner, the only champion, and receive the people's worship. But a flash of thunder and a black figure slamming into his spine destroyed any hope of reaching the full height of his glory. Instead, He was now a meter into the ground and spitting blood. What made it worse was his finger being a millimeter from victory. So close yet so far, eldest young master, the regent estate elders cried. Struggling so hard to make one last push yet failing, filled Huangpu Qingtian with desperation. Stepping on Huangpu Qingtian, Zhuofan grinned and panted, Huangpu Qingtian, I finally caught up. You almost had me worried there, that I would lose my chance. Hey. Zhuofan, how did you get here so fast? Huangpu Qingtian turned a hateful glare at the man on his spine. But didn't finish as it all made sense. Behind Zhuofan was Yang Fu jumping off of a purple bird and rushing to Zhuofan. Zhuofan snickered. Do you get it now? I lost my wings, but I still have a thunder skylark. With speed as its focus, it was of great help catching up in time. Huangpu Qingtian lamented, how could I forget that punk still had a spiritual beast? It had gotten to his head that with the punk's meager speed, he had enough time to prance a bit and tend to his regal good looks. He would have skipped all that waste of time if he knew and avoided this mess by jumping right in, but no, he just had to show off his flashy side and die, becoming the butt of Chen Yu's joke. Huangpu Qingtian wailed some more, Zhuofan, kill me then, but I am king decreed by heaven and I ask that you let me go with dignity. Squinting, Zhuofan snorted, humph, dignity is it? Sure. I'll make sure to pick the most dignified death I can think of. Zhuofan leaned and bit his ear off. Huangpu Qingtian raved in pain, Zhuofan, what are you doing? Me? Humph, didn't you want the most dignified death? Wish granted. I'll bury you all in my belly, far more respectful than having dirt peppered all over you in a hole somewhere. Zhuofan grinned with bloodthirsty eyes that came as a shock to all who heard him. Soaring demonic dragon was planning on eating heaven-shaking dragon lord alive. Followed by shivers of fear, that is the cruelest death yet. Chapter 333 Royal Transfer. Chapter 333 Royal Transfer. Elite Coder. Huangpu Qingtian was startled at his words and saw Zhuofan spit his ear, horrified. How come he didn't see Zhuofan coming up with such a gruesome death penalty for him? What dignified? I will even lose my rights as a human being. What made it worse was being stripped of his kingly aura, far more gruesome than Lin Shenfeng and Yu Yushan's deaths, that was for sure. Zhuofan, why you a demon? You dare eat me? Huangpu Qingtian squinted, appalled, grinning. With Huangpu Qingtian's blood marring his lips, Zhuofan's eyes had a manic glint. Yes, that's exactly right. I was thinking about the best way to torture you, for you to feel the most pain. I've decided this is the perfect end for you. It won't be the most painful. Yu Yushan had it 100 times worse, nor the most humiliating. Lin Shenfeng has you beat at that, but for the one sentencing Ninga to death, I chose this for you. And do you know why? Ha ha ha, it's the one that brings me the most joy. Devouring you is the only way to ease this raging maelstrom of hatred inside of me. Zhuofan bit down again, took off a large chunk from Huangpu Qingtian's scruff, making his victim howl to the sky, and tears flow down his cheeks. Yang Fu shuddered and took 2 discreet steps back. The viewers couldn't look anymore, feeling bile coming into their throats. Their hearts hammered in their chest, threatening to jump out any second. Zhuofan was right. Eating him alive wasn't the most painful, nor the most shameful, but it was the most horrible. Everyone had fear in their eyes. Zhuofan's earlier punishments made him look like a demon, but now he was a demon archon. Only Chu Qingcheng was without worry, fear, or anxiety. Just sadness. For Zhuofan to have such hatred towards Huangpu Qingtian, it showed the pain he was enduring. A pain so great that only through this savage act could he somewhat appease it. Ah! Zhuofan grinned. Huangpu Qingtian's eyes bulged, his veins popped, his regal face twisted horribly. Zhuofan, I am the rightful king appointed by Providence itself. You will receive heavenly punishment for eating me. Huangpu Qingtian roared. Zhuofan shook his head. He, heavenly punishment. I've been going against heaven all this time, so what's there to fear going a bit further? Your so-called providence is a grand delusion you found yourself in. Even if you had heaven's protection, it wouldn't change a thing. I'd still come after you even if I had to pierce the 9 heavens. Zhuofan bit down again, his teeth bloody raw. Incited by Huangpu Qingtian's words, a dragon roar sounded and his bloody body let out a golden light. Zhuofan was startled. He had the bloodworm seal Huangpu Qingtian's cultivation. So why is he releasing such a strong power? The answer came soon. The golden dragon soul shot from Huangpu Qingtian into the sky before coming back down towards Zhuo Fan. Dragon soul's protection. Zhuo Fan frowned and sighed. He had totally forgotten about Huangpu Qingtian's dragon vein soul coming to save him in dire moments. Leng Wuchang and Huangpu Tianyuan snickered at this point. Zhuo Fan was so weak that the dragon vein soul would attack his soul and end him. Hu tilde. A dragon image flashed by and the dragon soul passed through Zhuo Fan. A searing pain struck his head and he spat blood from how damaged his soul was. Ha ha ha, Zhuo Fan, you got what was coming for you. If you just killed me, none of this would have happened. But you, a lesser man, had to dare eat this king. Now you will die being devoured by the dragon soul. Huangpu Qingtian cackled. Despite being riddled with bite wounds, he still had the time to laugh. I am the true rightful king of heaven. I am untouchable, ha ha ha. Fang Qiubai was startled in the most intense moment. The dragon vein soul actually came out to defend him. Is Huangpu Qingtian truly a son of heaven for the dragon soul to protect him so much? Zhuo Fan only grinned. He saw the dragon soul coming for another pass and said, "Humph, a mere earth spirit dares defy this emperor? Die." Then an azure flame flickered from his forehead. The azure flame expanded into a firebird. It took to the skies and shot for the petrified dragon soul. The dragon soul downright panicked, shuddered, then hightailed it. A bit too late for that, unfortunately. The azure bird flashed before it and clawed at its body. It held the dragon like a meager worm as it doubled back. The dragon soul only whimpered as the bird flew back to Zhuo Fan. Now that got a reaction out of the crowd, or more precisely a lack of reaction. People stared at Zhuo Fan blankly. Huangpu Qingtian's mind blew away as he couldn't quite find any words to speak. What the hell? That's a dragon vein soul. How does a blue bird get to dangle it back just like that? The kid has his own spirit, far stronger than even Huangpu Qingtian's dragon vein soul. Fang Qiubai shouted. The dragon vein soul was a rarity in the world, the symbol of kings. Who thought it possible then that Zhuo Fan would have something far more deadly? Just who is he? He is from a third-rate clan, so why is he covered with treasures? Zhuge Changfeng stroked his beard, watching Zhuo Fan with blazing eyes. Only Regent stateside was in pain. The stronger Zhuo Fan was, the bigger the threat. And now that the king's symbol was crushed so easily, this feeling only grew stronger. This signified he was the rightful king upon this world. Heaven-approved Regent estates' resentment billowed and their hatred grew. Zhuo Fan, the little demon, no longer just had the potential to be a threat, but a veritable one at their own survival. A monster that defied the heavens. We need to make time and seek the high priest for answers. Where did he come from? How did he make the dragon vein soul surrender? Huangpu Tianyuan sighed. Leng Wuchang nodded as well, his face deep in ponder. Man proposed and heaven disposed. Leng Wuchang had flawless plans, but that only accounted for men. Anything he tried with those decreed by heaven would be rendered null. They would be under Providence's care and would come back from death's door stronger than ever. He never wanted to mess with these freaks for the same reason Huangpu Qingtian qualified as one when he got the dragon soul's approval. All of the regent estate, including him, called Huangpu Qingtian as heaven's chosen. That his arrogance was God-given and justified. That belief only grew stronger as the third of the four pillars, Tianyu's high priest, gave his vague acknowledgement. But at this very moment, this heaven's chosen was being eaten alive by Zhuo Fan. Even his guardian, Dragon Soul, could do nothing to stop it. Is this also by providence that the punk has a kingly disposition? Or is it perhaps coming from somewhere beyond heaven? Leng Wuchang saw Zhuo Fan as a fearful enigma. Huangpu Qingtian saw his dragon soul coming back in the bird's claws and cried, "Zhuo Fan, who the hell are you? You just called yourself emperor, then. None of your business." Zhuo Fan mocked, "All you need to know is this. Messing with me is the worst mistake of your miserable life." Zhuo Fan took a bite out of his throat this time, tearing it off. Blood poured and Huangpu Qingtian's eyes dulled, feeling his life drained from him. With that, the golden energy left his body and entered Zhuo Fan. The azure bird brought the dragon soul back. Just in time to see the golden energy moving into Zhuo Fan, it released its claws in shock. The dragon soul roared in its newfound freedom, but it didn't attack Zhuo Fan this time, and instead circled him twice. It watched the golden energy move, then entered Zhuo Fan's body itself. Roar. As another dragon roar came, Zhuofan didn't seem to feel any change, but then he exploded with light. The azure bird nodded and returned into Zhuofan as well. Huangpu Qianyuan, having witnessed this event, cried, "Royal transfer. The world is about to change." Chapter 334, World Changes. Chapter 334, World Changes. Elite Coda. Roar. With one more dragon roar, Zhuofan glowed golden as he himself let out a roar of his own. Huangpu Qingtian soaked in his own blood, weak and fading. Watching the blinding golden light, he shouted his frustration and agony in his mind, That is my right. Zhuofan, give it back, give it back." Zhuofan had bit his throat clean off and he had no way to speak. He could only express the regret and resentment on his face as he watched his greatest enemy steal his own dragon soul, take his dragon power, and for Providence to make him king instead. How is this possible? How can Providence change? I am Tianyu's rightful ruler. Return my dragon soul. It's not you, not you. Huangpu Qingtian's eyes dimmed and he finally slumped his head, losing the last trace of life. Only his resentful eyes still spoke of his wretched death. The viewers couldn't care less about Huangpu Qingtian's grievances. They had more important things to mind right now, like watching Zhuofan. Dragon Vein's dragon soul can be transferred? Does that mean Zhuofan is the new king decreed by heaven? Rumble. With a thunderclap, the sky darkened and lightning brewed. The earth shook so hard no one could stand up straight on Beast King Mountain. All spiritual beasts curled up in the safety of their den. Even the dreaded 6th-level spiritual beasts tucked away their heads in fear. Only Zhuofan roared at the sky, while the golden light grew in intensity. Prime Minister, what's happening? His two elders asked. Zhuge Changfeng saw them baffled and sighed with a grave face as he said, The high priest told me once that when the world shakes, heavy changes are upon us. Tianyu is about to change. The people turned back to the roaring Zhuofan with a pensive expression. Is this change related to that man? In Regent Estate's home city, Caged Dragon City, the earth shuddered, and the entire city wobbled. High Venerable Huangpu Fenglei woke up from his meditation in shock. He came out of his room and shouted, Guard, what is going on? High Venerable, the Dragon Vein is rebelling. A profound heaven expert kneeled. Huangpu Fenglei shouted, Impossible. Regent Estate has defended the Dragon Vein for 1,000 years and it has never rebelled once. One of the 9 dragon souls even came out from the seal, so how can it still rebel? I don't know, but the other 8 are hammering the seal. The shock waves have killed many bone-tempering experts. We can't hold much longer, High Venerable. What do we do? Huangpu Fenglei frowned and shouted, Call all Regent Estate's venerables at the seal and suppress the dragon souls. Get the ones in seclusion as well. If they are released, we'll be the first to suffer their wrath. Understood. The man rushed to obey. Huangpu Fenglei shot for the seal the next second. He just couldn't make sense of why the Dragon Vein souls would suddenly rebel in a dark alley of Caged Dragon City. Shadows shifted. Elder Yang, how do we get in with Regent Estate on high alert? A charming voice said. She was Lei Yuting, Luo clan's Shadow Corps captain. The one across from her was Vicious Pill King, in his 40s, looking at the strict guard at the gate. Just like in the imperial capital, Yang Song sighed, even with the energy concealing pill to evade the guards. We'll be sitting ducks once we set foot inside with the dozens of venerables and their discerning fields. Slipping in now is impossible. We still have to do it. Zhuofan said, We will one day go to war with the 7 houses and an intelligence network is paramount. With the Regent Estate having Lung Wuchang, it is imperative that we get any information as early as possible. Lei Yuting was firm in her decision. Yang Song sighed. He caressed his beard, thinking of a way to achieve it. A sudden boom shook the ground and the sky, and a billowing black cloud launched lightning everywhere in Caged Dragon City. Yang Song's team had no idea what happened. All they saw were men rushing towards a golden light. They were a mix of radiant stage experts and profound heaven expert. Vicious Pill King was speechless, then burst out, Ha ha ha, it's Providence. Something big must be happening to Regent Estate right now to get all venerables and their profound heaven experts to leave this place. It doesn't get more deserted than this. Lass, follow me. Great. Lei Yuting perked up and signaled for the other men to follow as they slipped within Regent Estate. Each one of them was carrying a meter-large bag with something squirming inside. In the imperial capital, The emperor was perusing a report, checking the empire's situation, when the rumbling started. A black cloud thick as night loomed overhead, flickering with lightning. The earth was shaking so badly that the ink spilled on the neat parchment. What's going on? Tianyu has been enjoying prosperity for 1,000 years. How can it suddenly shake so much? The emperor swayed as the reports were rolling on the floor. This isn't a good sign, something bad is happening. Guard, send for the high priest. Report. What came was a guard bowing and presenting a paper. Your Majesty, the parish had sent someone over and asked me to present this paper to your Majesty. They added that all that concerns your Majesty is in here. If there are still doubts, they cannot help as heaven does not reveal its secrets. Eyes twitching, the emperor said, give it here. That old geezer must be a god to pry into heaven's will and foresee this event. Yes. The guard presented the paper. The emperor took it and frowned as he read. A short poem was written, but he couldn't make sense of it. The world shook at the shake of the earth dragon's tail. Then came the celestial dragon to quell the chaos. As both the celestial and earth dragons exist, the land and rivers shall each call their king. What is this supposed to mean? Does the old foggy only know to talk in riddles? Can't he say anything clearly? The emperor shook his head as he pondered. The land and rivers shall each call their king. Does it mean Tianyu will split and the empire will be in chaos? The emperor's eyes flashed. No, I can't let that happen. My Yuan clan won't be divided. Humph, what land, rivers and kings? Tianyu will forever remain whole, under the Yuan clan. The emperor stared at the billowing thunder cloud with intense killing intent. Not even heaven can stop me. On Beast King Mountain, Zhuofan howled for 9 days and 9 nights. The shaking soon spread to all of the Tianyu Empire, persisting just as long. It only stopped when Zhuofan did. The audience watched in shock, knowing full well that the world had changed and that Zhuofan was in the center of it all. Was this the world's way of bestowing royal power? Everyone started seeing Zhuofan in a different light. Fang Qiubai especially. He used to care about Zhuofan's fate, and now could feel Zhuofan, with the dragon soul and providence by his side, was the greatest threat to Tianyu's imperial family. It left him pulled in 2 directions. Should he snuff him in the cradle or report to his majesty? Dugu Zhantian was in the same situation. He and the Luo clan were practically family. Luo Yunhai was even his 5th godson. He could never raise his hand against the Luo clan's steward, but Zhuofan was now a threat to the imperial family. A loyal marshal like him couldn't overlook this. The two looked at each other and sighed. Leng Wuchang saw their dilemma and whispered to Huangpu Qianyuan, Estate Lord, the kid will arrive any second now. You and the other 3 house lords are to kill him swiftly and prevent a calamity. How can that be? Fang Qiubai and Dugu Zhantian are radiant stage experts. That's asking for death, attacking right in front of them. Huangpu Qianyuan gasped. Leng Wuchang shook his head. Estate Lord, relax. They would have done anything to protect Zhuofan earlier, but now things have changed. We aren't the only ones who want to see the kid dead. Because of grief, you couldn't hold your hand and killed the kid. Won't you garner everyone's sympathy? Huangpu Qianyuan's eyes lit up and he saw reason. He nodded, with a sinister smile. Chapter 335, Fanatic Protects. Chapter 335, Fanatic Protects. Elite Coda. Taking a deep breath, Zhuofan looked at the faint golden glow around himself and smiled, sensing the golden dragon resting in his dantian. He had used diamond sand to temper himself, and now he had dragon veins, dragon power, and a king's dragon soul. 3 great treasures for body cultivation combined in one vessel. He simply needed to refine the dragon power and unite with the dragon soul, and his body would soar above even Huangpu Qingtian. Speaking of which, he threw a condescending smile at those resentful eyes. Weren't you calling yourself a rightful king, decreed by Providence? Humph, I stole everything you had, including your destiny. Suddenly, Zhuofan fell silent and his heart felt uneasy. Is the dragon soul's shift heaven sent or a disaster? He felt something in the air had changed. As the dragon soul now resided within his body, he sensed the other factions' attitude shift. Especially the imperial families. Then again, which emperor out there would allow the one calling himself rightful king take his throne? Huangpu Qingtian was so egotistical to spout it left and right because the regent estate had his back. For Zhuofan to keep his life. The time has come for the Luo clan to show its power. Squinting, Zhuo Fan sighed then. A yellow pillar of light shot into the sky 1,000 miles from him. Yang Fu paled. Yang Bangui got away. Zhuo Fan glanced and merely shook his head. An ant, nothing more. Yang Fu stammered, but kept his trap shut despite the resentment. What? You have a bone to pick with him? Zhuo Fan saw right through him. Yang Fu only sighed. Zhuo Fan patted his shoulder, his eyes glinting mysteriously. Relax, you are with me now. I will definitely help you deal with it. Yang Fu saw Zhuo Fan's cryptic smile. Yang Bangui passed through the Earth National Elemental Stone flustered, gasping and rejoicing for having escaped that living nightmare. Yang Bogong almost broke down crying from joy. My family. I'm finally back. It wasn't easy escaping that monster. Yang Bogong saw Pilking Hall's most prized pupil return in tears. Of the 6 dragons, Zhuo Fan had reaped 3, making the last survivor to be treated like a treasure. The Pilking Hall rushed to console him and congratulate the safe return of their plague dragon. After a short moment of joy, Hall Lord Yang Bogong turned to Zhuo Fan, being reflected on the Fire National Elemental Stone. His face grew dark and he said, Bangui, we and Estate Lord Huangpu struck a secret deal. When the punk comes back, we'll attack him together. Stay behind me and try to land the killing blow to wash the shame of betrayal. Let the world know of Pilking Hall's power. Yang Bangui jerked, but when he saw Zhuo Fan, all he had was deep-rooted fear. Spare me, Hall Lord. I escaped that monster by the skin of my teeth, and now you want me to die again? Yang Bogong knew what he was thinking and got angry. Useless prick, are you that horrified after the punk gave you a little fright? Humph, relax. It will be us old fellows going first. You only have to go and collect his head and restore our image. This is an easy merit. What, you don't even know how to pick up a head? Yang Bangui was quite hesitant but nodded at the end. Yang Bogong broke out into a smile. That's our Pilking Hall's disciple, ha ha ha. Viewers turned their attention to the Fire National Elemental Stone, waiting for Zhuo Fan and Yang Fu's return. It's time. Zhuo Fan stood before the fire exit, viewers clueless of his meaning, as was Yang Fu. But then, he looked at the sky and raised his palm as he muttered. Yang Fu asked, Steward Zhuo, what? Yang Fu, weren't you vexed at letting Yang Bangui off? Ha ha ha, as a reward for your great service, and your welcome gift in the Luo clan, I, its steward, shall fulfill your cherished wish. Zhuo Fan started to bend one finger at a time as he said, 5, 4. Everyone was puzzled, just like Yang Fu. 3, 2. What is the punk playing at? Yang Bogong looked at his allies. Only Lung Wuchang was in constant pondering, then shouted at Yang Bogong, Hall Lord Yang, get away from the kid. What? Yang Bogong was still out of it just then. Everyone heard, 1. With the final word, Zhuo Fan made a fist bang. A ringing explosion came out of nowhere as Yang Bangui didn't even realize. As he went boom, the devastating power crippled the elders from Pilking Hall. Yang Bangui had just entered the radiant stage and his explosion took many elders down with him. Even their vassals came out blooded. Their casualties were in the hundreds, while the lucky ones who survived didn't get to enjoy their fortune as Yang Bangui's blood landed on them, eating their flesh and bone alike. Everything around Pilking Hall was thrown into chaos, with corpses littering the ground. Pilking Hall instantly lost 8 elders. A crippling blow. Yang Bogong crawled from beneath a pile of corpses and shook at the carnage laid before him. What happened? Why are Pilking Hall's experts almost all dead? Looking at the corpse pinning him down, Yang Bogong panicked as he pushed it away, seeing it was eaten by Yang Bangui's blood, a trait of the poison body. If not for the guy taking the fall for him, he'd be dead right now. The other houses saw the horror and fled from Pilking Hall. No one could understand why the peach-perfect Yang Bangui just popped, but a malicious cackle grated their ears. Hi hi hi. Zhuo Fan held his forehead as he laughed. No one got the joke and neither did Yang Fu. Steward Zhuo, what's wrong? Oh, nothing, only laughing at a bunch of morons. Did they actually think I'd let him live? Yang Fu blinked, to which Zhuo Fan explained, from the start, I made sure to come prepared. The bloodworms are connected to me, so I made sure to arm them. As long as any of those dumbass left Beast King Mountain, they were to self-destruct in 10 minutes. What a stroke of luck. They always believed they had a way out and they gave their all in reaching the exit. All of it was just a grand act, a joke of epic proportions, ha ha ha. This entire game was never meant to have a winner. Zhuo Fan's eyes glinted. Yang Fu's heart froze. Going by his words, Yang Bangui became a ticking time bomb the moment he stepped in Dragon Cloud City. He must be in pieces by now. Zhuo Fan grinned, knowing what was going in that head of his. You guessed it, the brat is toast, cooked. A radiant stage expert's self-destruct ought to have taken many lives with him as well. As for how many, care to guess? Was there even a point? Almost none from Pilking Hall could escape. Yang Bangui was put in the center moments after returning, finding out that the rotten senior brother of his who always mocked him was toyed to death by the demon himself. Yang Fu should be happy. But no joy reached his heart for some odd reason. He felt safe around Zhuo Fan, true, but the fear was up to par by comparison. It was unnerving. Even when his most hated enemy suffered at the hands of the demon, what he felt instead was a bit of sympathy, true to his words. You can mess with the king of hell, but never with this steward. Offending the king of hell, at the worst you'd just die. Offend Steward Zhuo, and you'd find that even death would be a luxury in Dragon Cloud City. Everyone looked at Zhuo Fan in dread. Yang Bangui ran with such zeal thinking he'd escape, but Zhuo Fan cooked a little something for Pilking Hall and sent him off with a package. This creepy method and insidious plot left the survivors shuddering. Even Lung Wuchang, a renowned mind in the empire, looked at the snickering figure in fear. Zhuo Fan had long surpassed Zhuge Changfeng and became his biggest enemy. Well, time to head back. Zhuo Fan returned to his cool demeanor, but his eyes hid a deep and heavy sorrow as he walked towards the red glow. Yang Fu nodded. Whoosh. The two stepped through and were back. The people treated him like a demon, shaking in fear. Only the girls were happy seeing him alive and went to welcome him. Then it happened. Explosions sounded as 4 men attacked the pair. A great pressure fell on the people, making them fall back in panic. The 4 were none other than Huangpu Qianyuan and his allies. All peak profound Heaven House Lords. Fang Qiubai was about to block them but stayed his hand. After careful consideration, he picked neutrality. Dugu Zhantian watched it all with a cold eye and a lament. Perhaps it's for the best. Only Luo Yunchang and Chu Qingcheng were devastated. They wanted to give a helping hand. Zhuo Fan, you'll pay for what you did to my son. Huangpu Qianyuan roared his righteous excuse, punching straight for Zhuo Fan. Yang Fu, behind Zhuo Fan, could barely breathe from the power display. The other 3 house lords unleashed their own might as well. Zhuo Fan, heavily wounded, was besieged by 4 experts on all sides. Escape was not an option. Not that he was worried. With a twisted grin, he said, sorry, but you're a little late in getting revenge for Huangpu Qingtian. An explosion followed as a black figure slammed the 4 into the air. Zhuo Fan's eyes glinted and he smiled. As I live and breathe, Elder Li. Chapter 336, Fanatic Fights Sword God. Chapter 336, Fanatic Fights Sword God. Elite Coda. Boom. The ringing from the boom had yet to stop, forcing the people to cover their ears. The thick dust had Zhuo Fan and Yang Fu obscured within it. Huangpu Qianyuan's team of 4 finally landed while coughing blood. The respective house elders surrounded their house lords and checked their wounds, but Huangpu Qianyuan flicked his sleeve, shooing the elder before him aside. His eyes peered into the dust and he spat, who the hell dares to interfere in the regent estate's affairs? Fang Qiubai and Dugu Zhantian looked towards the commotion with a frown. They knew who it was, but they were baffled why that man was on Zhuo Fan's side. The rest of the houses watched intently. They were all dying to know at this point. Who had the nerve to save Zhuo Fan from the clutches of regent estate? Once the dust settled, somewhat, it revealed an imposing physique. An outstandish old man, poised and his back straight, stood in front of Zhuo Fan. His tyrannical aura bent on crushing everyone in his path hung heavy over everyone's hearts. He was none other than one of the rare top radiant stage experts in Tianyu Mad Dipper, Li Jingtian. A regent estate elder shouted, Elder Li, you are a guest venerable of ours. Where have you been over the past few years? Why are you suddenly siding with that punk? He is the regent estate's greatest enemy. Those words set the crowd reeling. The mystery expert was regent estate's venerable, the living legend, Mad Dipper Li Jingtian. He truly lived up to his name, respected and feared. Both Fang Qiubai and Dugu Zhantian were startled as well. Nobody knew of Li Jingtian's strength before, but the vibes he was sending deterred even the mighty divine dragon. Elder Li. A cry sounded, making the eyes of everyone land on Luo Yunchang. To everyone's shock, she ran to Li Jingtian's side and patted his chest. "Thanks to your timely arrival, Shuofan is safe." Twitching, everyone looked puzzled, the 7 house lords included. What's that Lu miss doing being so friendly with that savage fiend? Li Jingtian's reaction, however, got a priceless expression out of them all. "Ha ha ha, young miss, relax. Nothing will happen to Steward Shuo, not when he has such a cunning nature." Li Jingtian laughed. The people went slack-jawed. "Say, what? Young miss? Steward Shuo? Tell me it isn't true. How, why, when? The Luo clan is just a third-rate upstart clan. How in the hell did they manage to entice that old freak Mad Dipper to become their venerable instead? That makes the Luo clan practically on par with the 7 houses. Ha ha ha, we must be tripping. That Mad Dipper must have been conned into helping them just like Shuofan did with Dugu Zhantian. There's absolutely no way, not in a million years, for him to be on their side." Then again, seeing how the punk's methods were quite all-encompassing, the kid could practically turn everyone into his backers. Sighing, the crowd's opinion of Shuofan jumped again, and that went for everyone there, from no-name clans to the 7 house lords. Since having a backer and joining them were totally different things, a backer was good as a makeshift safeguard, but by joining the clan wholly, the man could both defend and attack in need. Turning the clan into a force to be reckoned with Shuofan was great, no doubt, but not even he could pull a peak Radiant stage expert to his side, to join a third-rate clan no less. That was simply ludicrous. Long Yifi and the rest shook their heads. We must be overthinking things. If Li Jingtian was their venerable, then the Luo clan was a match for the 7 houses. A truly cruel and delicious irony how everyone was denying the truth, staring them dead in their faces. Depending on the viewpoint, of course. Elder Li, what's the meaning of this? You may be friends with the punk, but clan matters come first. You need to address this with utmost severity. Why are you stopping me from taking revenge for my son? Huangpu Tianyuan raved. Squinting, Li Jingtian laughed. Ha ha ha, Estate Lord Huangpu, that's exactly right. I of course take the clan's interests into heavy consideration. That is why, as Luo clan's elder, I cannot allow you to touch one hair of our steward. Dong. A bomb went off in all of their heads. They felt their minds swoon after being smacked with a copper bell right in the noggin. Reeling from shock, they looked at Li Jingtian gobsmacked. The Mad Dipper actually joined the Luo clan, and he's just a frigging elder. As if. Are you high? Did you just get up and quit the prestigious position of a guest venerable over at Regent Estate to become a mere elder for a third-rate clan? Huangpu Tianyuan stammered all this time. Lung Wuchang twirled his beard and asked, Elder Li, why? Humph, isn't it obvious? There was nothing holding me back, no incentive at all. I dumped Regent Estate for the Luo clan because they can give me something you can't. Li Jingtian smiled with pride. Now that definitely got a shocking reaction. The grandiose head of houses was dumped over a tiny clan. That had got to be the joke of the century. Hearing it from anyone else, it would earn a couple of laughs. But it came directly from the source. Mad Dipper himself, a peak Radiant stage expert, abandoned all those benefits and downshifted to become some elder. Why the hell would he do that if there was nothing in it for him? It begged the question though, what could the Luo clan hold to make Mad Dipper wipe his hands off of the Regent Estate? All eyes were on Zhuofan. Everyone knew that only one man was capable of making the old demon switch camps. He definitely had a hand in this, but even then, getting him to change sides was a godlike move. How did he do it? Long Ju sighed. I knew the kid is an expert at stealing others' foundations. Fortunately, we are a tight-knit house, or even our experts would have fallen for his bewitching promises. Unaware as he was that Zhuofan wouldn't take them even if they were given for free. Moving past the standard reaction of shock everyone showed today, Li Jingtian turned to the one-armed Zhuofan with a heartbroken expression. Taking him into a bear hug, the man spoke solemnly, Steward Zhuo, what are your orders? Zhuofan glanced over to the Regent Estate and said, no one from the Regent Estate leaves this place alive. The cold and insipid tone rang into people's ears. The demon is that cruel to go ahead and wipe out all Regent Estate's elders? Mad Dipper was no fool. Doing so was declaring war with the head of the houses. This was not a game. Zhuo Fan was consumed by his hatred and desire for revenge. With Li Jingtian being regent estate's venerable once, he should still have some lingering feelings left over for his ex-employer. Now that he was a mere elder, he should think about the clan's needs and not follow the demon steward's ramblings. Li Jingtian simply patted his shoulder and turned to regent estate's men with a look that promised death and agony. He was hell-bent on murdering anyone to fulfill Zhuo Fan's design, his nut. The entire Luo clan is going along with Zhuo Fan's madness. After a quick sigh of lamentation, everyone scampered off. No one wanted to be here and suffer a quick death when a radiant stage expert went on a murdering spree. Long Yifi thought about advising against it. But Zhuo Fan and Li Jingtian's determined gazes made him falter. All he could do was follow his clansmen in getting away from here. It was then that Li Jingtian kicked it off with a bang. The power and the pressure were that of a mountain coming down on you. Huangpu Tianyuan and his 30-ish elders group gasped, but found even breathing hard. They couldn't even fight back. This was the power of a peak radiant stage expert. These guys were nothing but ants to Li Jingtian. But then, a boom announced the approach of a man in white, facing off Li Jingtian with a palm attack boom. The world felt like it was falling apart as the two palms collided. All anyone could do was duck their heads and cover their ears. Long Yifi and the rest of the profound heaven experts were feeling horrible just the same. They covered their ears and stood up a bit, but if the flowing sweat was any indication, they had to be feeling just as powerless as their neighbors if they were to face these palms instead. Tilda. The two withdrew 5 steps. Looking up, the one facing Li Jingtian was none other than Jade Flute Divine Sword, Fang Qiubai cupping his hands. Fang Qiubai spoke, "Mad Dipper Li Jingtian, your name precedes you. One of the imperial family's 5 divine dragons, Jade Flute Divine Sword Fang Qiubai. I've long since waited for this. One glance is enough to tell me of your uncommon character. But are you certain you want to go head-to-head with me?" Li Jingtian smiled, his eyes exploding with bloodthirst. The martial fanatic in him reared its head, fueling his desire to fight. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.